Original text, $1 million, divorce. In my past life, I thought he was insulting me. I tore up the check and left with nothing but the clothes on my back. In this life, I held up 5 fingers. 100 million. Any less is disrespectful to true love. Ethan Blackwood's face darkened. Sylvia Palmer, don't be too greedy. I immediately turned to Lydia Frost, who was standing beside him. Lydia, you don't want this man. He can't even bear to part with 100 million. He must think you aren't worth the price. Lydia shot me a glare, then looked at Ethan with resentment. Ethan, obsessed with his reputation, glared at me and said viciously, "Fine, 100 million. But we divorce only after the company secures the new project. During this time, you are not allowed to do anything that damages my reputation." I vaguely remembered from my past life that there was indeed a project crucial to the Blackwood Group's future development. Ethan attached great importance to it. I nodded, expressing my understanding, and spread my 5 fingers again. Add another 100 million. A vein throbbed on Ethan's forehead. Sylvia, have you no shame? Lydia jumped in to help him. Sylvia, people should have self-awareness. Are you worth that price? I gasped. What does Lydia mean that the title of Mrs. Blackwood isn't worth 200 million? As for shame, well, considering what Mr. Blackwood and Lydia have been getting up to behind closed doors, do either of you have any shame left? Their faces turned green, suppressing their anger. Oh, don't be shy. I understand the sparks of passion. Rest assured. Once the money is in place, I will immediately act as a bodyguard for your love. Ethan was furious. Sylvia, where is your backbone? For money, do you not even want your dignity anymore? I was wrong about you in the beginning. I thought you had a spine of steel, different from those women who only wanted my money. Ha, you're exactly the same trash as them. The gap between my family background and Ethan's was enormous. Everyone said I wasn't good enough, that I was a manipulative gold digger solely after his money. To prove my backbone and save face, aside from necessary living expenses, I resolutely refused to take a penny from Ethan and never asked for luxury goods. Even though I married a CEO, I was still bitterly working a job with a monthly salary of $3,000. Thinking back now, I was the biggest idiot in the world. I dug my finger into my ear. Mr. Blackwood, make sure it's in my account by tomorrow, not a penny less. As I spoke, I pulled a box of herbal male performance supplements out of my bag and shoved it into Lydia's hands. Lydia, if he's good, you're good. Hilarious. A young CEO who needs kidney support supplements. Who would want that? I, an orphan with absolutely no background, was able to marry Ethan Blackwood entirely thanks to my face, which bore a striking resemblance to Lydia Frost. But I didn't know that at the time. I just thought it was a Cinderella story and true love had arrived. It wasn't until Lydia returned from abroad, stormed aggressively into my home, slapped me across the face, and stepped on my fingers that I learned the truth. She said, "You counterfeit. Do you think you're worthy of standing beside Ethan?" Only then did I realize I had been a substitute for 3 years. 3 years ago, Lydia refused to marry him and ran abroad in a huff. In a fit of anger, Ethan found me, a look-alike, and married me just to spite Lydia. They were playing a game of spite, but I had given my heart. I refused to divorce. I tried every method to save our marriage, humbling myself and begging Ethan to consider our 3 years together, begging him not to divorce me, not to throw me away. Who knew he would just throw a check at me and say, "We were husband and wife once. Don't make this too difficult for me. With your current salary, you'd have to work without eating or drinking for over 30 years to save up $1 million. I'm being very good to you." I refused to take it, crying that he was insulting my character and my love for him. Lydia rolled her eyes. Clearly just after Ethan's money, why pretend to be innocent? With eyes red from crying, I told Ethan, "Ethan, I truly love you. I will prove it to you." I tore up the check and left with nothing. To survive, I worked during the day and delivered food at night. In the end, because of a delivery order that added an extra $5 for shipping, I was driving while exhausted and was hit by a large truck, dying on the spot. After death, my soul drifted to Ethan's side. I wanted to see if Ethan would feel guilt or regret when he learned the cause of my death, if he would weep bitterly for me. After all, I was such a kind, pure white flower who didn't want his money, only his heart. Unfortunately, I overthought it. My death only bought a 10-second pause from him. Then he closed his phone and took Lydia to a gala. I was so angry my soul died a second time. When I opened my eyes again, I found I had been reborn on the day he brought up divorce. Fine, you don't cherish the pure love of a white flower? Then I'll show you exactly what a money-grubbing witch looks like. Early the next morning, I received a notification of a deposit. But looking at the amount, my face immediately dropped. It was only $5 million. I called Ethan to ask what this meant. Ethan said, "What if you don't keep your word and ruin my reputation after taking the money?" "Sylvia, this project is critical. I'm meeting your demands, so you need to understand my concerns, okay?" "Fine, I understand." "Okay, then Mr. Blackwood, please write me an IOU. Note the repayment date. If it's overdue, interest will be calculated according to bank loan rates." There was silence on the other end. After a long while, Ethan said, "Sylvia, when did we become so distant? You used to call me Ethy." "Fine, Ethy. Write me an IOU. Note the repayment date. If it's overdue, interest will be calculated according to bank loan rates." The breathing on the other end became noticeably rapid. Finally, Ethan gritted his teeth. "Sylvia, don't push it." "Oh my God, surely Mr. Blackwood isn't thinking of reneging on the debt? I recorded our conversation yesterday, you know. Actually, cheating within a marriage isn't that big of a deal. But if people found out that Mr. Blackwood needs to pop blue pills at such a young age, well, my oh my." Ethan exploded in anger. "Shut up, I'll give you the IOU later." He hung up the phone in a rage. Ah, that felt good. Heh, how did I not realize in my past life that he was such a manipulative man? Makes sense. What kind of good man marries a substitute? Trying to play the emotional card to scam me out of my money. Keep dreaming. I waited 3 days, but the IOU didn't arrive. I couldn't wait any longer, so I went directly to the company to find him. It was truly unfortunate. Lydia was also in his office. Her white shirt had 3 buttons undone, and she was sitting on the desk, her arms hooked around Ethan's neck. Opening the door right then, honestly, I was the one who felt more awkward. The door wasn't locked properly, so I just came in. "How about this? I'll come back when you're done." "No rush, Mr. Blackwood. Take your time. I can wait." I quickly backed out and even considerately pulled the door shut for them. 5 minutes later, Lydia walked out full of resentment, shooting daggers at me with her eyes, and warned me in a low voice, "Sylvia, Ethan is mine. You can't steal him back." I immediately grabbed her and started crying. "Lydia, you've wronged me. I want to leave. It's Ethan who won't let me. I'm scared too. What if Ethan changes his mind and won't let me divorce him? Lydia, I beg you, please persuade him to let me take the money and go." I cried as I spoke, taking the opportunity to wipe a handful of snot on her expensive fur coat. Lydia's face turned green with anger. You, get away, leave then." I disgusted her anyway. I figured it out. Rather than seeking revenge by fighting her, it's better to drive her crazy by acting insane. Inside the office, Ethan's face looked terrible, with dark circles under his eyes. I couldn't help but remind him, "Mr. Blackwood, remember to take your supplements on time." Ethan's face looked even worse, his eyes revealing a trace of anger. "What are you doing at the company?" "Looking for you to sign the paper." "Sylvia, don't be a bully. Do you think I'm going to run away?" I said seriously. "Mr. Blackwood, originally I wasn't worried, but looking at your condition now. A man has a limited number of shots in his life. Mr. Blackwood, you need to exercise restraint." Ethan slammed the table in anger. "Roll out," I pointed to the floor. "Like a ball." "Okay." I held my head and rolled to the door, then rolled back, grinning. "Mr. Blackwood, satisfied? If you're satisfied, please write the IOU. Thanks. If you aren't satisfied, I can go roll a few more laps outside. Endure the hardships to become a master." Walking out of the office building, looking at the IOU in my hand, I felt all the suffering was worth it. The art of acting crazy is truly wonderful. Half a month later, it was the group's 10th anniversary celebration. Ethan asked me to accompany him. I readily agreed. Sure. However, the clothes, shoes, jewelry, facial treatments, and foot care for the gala, these small expenses are on Mr. Blackwood. They count as normal work expenses. In my past life, terrified that others would call me a gold digger, I couldn't bear to dress myself up properly. Every time I accompanied him to an event, I only aimed not to make mistakes, never to shine. It's different now. We're getting divorced anyway. If someone is paying, buy what needs to be bought. Seize the enjoyment. Enjoying it alone isn't fun. I called my best friend, Brandy Miller. My Brandy, the person I let down the most in my previous life. Brandy was also an orphan. We grew up together in the orphanage and were the closest people to each other in this world. Learning that I was getting a divorce, Brandy schemed for me in every way possible. She even hired a private investigator to help me collect evidence of Ethan's infidelity, hoping to secure my rights as much as possible. But I turned around and handed that evidence to Ethan, just to prove to Ethan that I loved him, that even with evidence, I couldn't bear to ruin him. Deep down, I hoped Ethan would be shocked, moved, realized his mistakes, and beg me to reconcile, staging a heart-wrenching drama of chasing his wife back. Great. He chased me chased me out of the house with a stick. Because of this, Ethan held a grudge against Brandy, and she lost her job. Brandy called me stupid, called me a love brain, said I deserved to be dumped by Ethan. I yelled back at her, asking if it was wrong to truly love someone. We parted on bad terms, and we didn't speak again until I died. But after I died in the car accident, Brandy was the first to appear to collect my body and have me cremated and buried. That day, I was right beside her, listening to her crying while burning paper money, cursing me for being a simp. By the end of her cursing, she was sobbing uncontrollably, saying brokenly, "Sylvia, come back. I won't scold you anymore." Later, to avenge me, Brandy exposed Ethan's affair with Lydia online, cursing Lydia, who wanted to enter the entertainment industry, as a homewrecker. She also used her real name to report the Blackwood Group for tax evasion, causing their stocks to plummet. Ethan hated Brandy for this. He hired people to kidnap her to a wasteland and ruined her innocence. With nowhere to turn for help and living in agony, Brandy drove a car into Ethan and Lydia, killing them, and then turned herself in to go to prison. Brandy, I caused all of that. Rest assured, this time I definitely won't let you down. When she found out I was going to use Ethan's money to take her shopping, Brandy was so scared she wanted to take me to see an exorcist to see if I had been possessed. In the past, buying a gold bracelet worth a few $1,000s as a birthday gift for Brandy took me 2 months of saving. I looked at the supplementary card in my hand and said with emotion, "I was young and ignorant before. Now I've seen the light." Brandy hugged me and wept tears of joy. "I finally have a sugar mama bestie. Spend it, that deadbeat scumbag used you as a substitute. My Sylvia's youth is more precious than the few bucks in his pocket. That afternoon, we treated money like dirt. We bought whatever was beautiful, whatever was comfortable. It felt amazing. But unexpectedly, we ran into Lydia. Seeing Brandy and me carrying bags big and small, Lydia looked at us with disdain. Sure enough, you were after Ethan's money from the start. Gold digger. Not only are you greedy, but you're also doing charity work. Sylvia, it's not easy for Ethan to earn money. Did Ethan agree to you using his money to buy things for stray cats and dogs? What, do you really treat Ethan as a money tree and a sucker? Go, return those things for me." Brandy retorted. "Yo, even the legitimate wife doesn't have the authority, so who does? You the mistress? Let me see what you bought." Saying that, Brandy went to rummage through the bags in Lydia's hands. A black card fell out with Ethan's signature on the back. "Oh my, a diamond watch, over $1 million. Sylvia, call the police quickly. This was bought using your marital assets." Lydia pushed Brandy away in anger. "Who is the mistress? The one who isn't loved is the mistress, Ethan, and I have cleared everything up. What right does she have to spend Ethan's money?" Brandy wanted to argue with her more. I held Brandy back, slapped myself directly across the face, and knelt on the ground crying. "Lydia, I was wrong as a wife. How could I spend my husband's money? My husband's money is all to be saved for Lydia to spend. I am guilty. I don't deserve to live. I'll go die right now." My voice immediately attracted the attention of everyone around us. Brandy lived up to being my best friend. Although she looked confused for a split second, her acting didn't miss a beat. There is no justice. A wife spends her husband's money and gets scolded by the mistress. Is this the decay of morality or the distortion of human nature? People around us quickly gathered to watch the drama, and some even took out their phones to record. Hilarious. Ethan only said his reputation couldn't be ruined. He didn't say Lydia's couldn't be. Anyway, the two of us were bare-faced and wearing sportswear. Tomorrow, once we put on makeup, who would recognize us? But Lydia was different. Dressed so exquisitely, she would be easily recognized. Sure enough, seeing this, Lydia was so scared she immediately picked up the card and fled, not even noticing she dropped a few handbags. I immediately ran to pick them up. Hee, brand new authentic goods, very easy to resell. Turning my head, I found Brandy still looking at me blankly. Oh no, did my craziness scare Brandy? I won't act crazy in the future. Brandy snapped back to reality, shook her head desperately, her eyes sparkling. No, Sylvia, the way you act crazy. I absolutely love it. As expected, Ethan called that evening to demand an explanation, blaming me for making a scene at the mall. I sent him a photo of me lying in a hospital bed, sounding weak and aggrieved. Ethan, heaven knows, in 3 years of marriage, have I ever asked you for a single luxury item? Have I ever bought a single Chanel? Today, Lydia came up and called me a gold digger, said I was after your money. I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to live. God knows I love you for who you are. I suffered a shock. I probably won't be able to leave the hospital for a while. Ethan was a bit agitated. Then, what about the anniversary gala? I coughed a few times and said with difficulty, Mr. Blackwood wouldn't want me to attend while sick, right? What if my illness makes me confused and I say nonsense? Why don't you let Lydia go? Lydia is prettier than me and understands the big picture better than I do. Cough. Don't worry about what others think. True love is invincible. After speaking, I moved to hang up the phone. Add another 5 million, Ethan said through gritted teeth. Accompany me to the anniversary gala. Once the project is finalized, we divorce immediately. I instantly perked up. So, is this 5 million a direct transfer? You know the account number. Remark it as a gift. Sylvia, you're ruthless. A few minutes later, $5 million hit my mobile bank account. I posted on my social media feed. Even illness can't discourage my love for work. In the blink of an eye, the anniversary gala arrived. When I walked slowly down the stairs in a haute couture gown, I saw Ethan's gaze stall. As expected, men are creatures who think with their lower bodies. By now, I had moved out of his villa and was living at Brandy's place. Counting on my fingers, we hadn't seen each other for over half a month. HMPH. In my past life, I was only busy making him soup and never properly groomed myself. When really dressed up, in Brandy's words, my curvy figure was far superior to Lydia's flatboard. I took Ethan's arm to go on stage, listening to his speech with a smile, watching him look at me affectionately, deeply playing the role of a good husband. For a moment, I remembered the happy times we had when we first started dating. Back then, when I had gastroenteritis, he would make porridge for me. On my birthday, he would spend the whole afternoon doing crafts with me. He would also blush and tell me, I love you, on New Year's Eve. My relationship with him never had anything to do with money. Precisely because of this, I was certain he was treating me with sincerity, not just playing around like a rich playboy. Unfortunately, these beautiful things were just the moon reflected in the water. His real moon was in the sky. It didn't matter, he could look up at his moon. I would keep my head down and pick up my banknotes. After the speech ended, everyone mingled freely. Ethan dragged me into a small room. Sylvia, come home tonight. 3 years of marriage creates some understanding. Seeing his desperate look, could it be that Lydia couldn't satisfy him? Does Mr. Blackwood still want me? Ethan nodded with a stiff face. Fine, 5 million a night. Ethan trembled with rage. Sylvia, do you really have no shame? 5 million a night. What do you think you are? We are husband and wife. It is rightful and proper. These words made my blood pressure skyrocket. Mr. Blackwood, you also know, why should a wife satisfy your needs unconditionally for free? What did you give me? Bride price? Car? House? You gave nothing. You only gave me a marriage certificate that could become void at any moment. Thinking about it this way, what does being Mrs. Blackwood count for? Ethan was so angry his face turned blue, saying good in succession. Sylvia, if it weren't because you look like Lydia, do you think I would want a woman like you? I gave you a chance. Blame yourself for not cherishing it. Don't you ever think about touching me again in this life. Wow, I should really burn incense to give thanks. I clasped my hands together piously. Finally, I don't have to serve a man who needs kidney pills. Ethan broke down, stormed off with a dark face. After dealing with some wives, I found a quiet corner by the pool. A shawl suddenly landed on me. I turned my head and saw a handsome face reflecting in my eyes. Sister, be careful of catching a cold. Ho, I smelled a conspiracy. Sure enough, after adding each other on WeChat, this boy named Julian Dash sent me messages every few days. He didn't say much, mostly good morning and good night, sometimes sending outfit photos asking for my opinion. But he loved posting on his feed. For example, posting a photo of a contrail with the caption, "Wonder what sister is doing right now?" Or photographing a garden of roses with the caption, "A garden full of beauty isn't as good as one glance back from sister." Or perhaps a hazy moonlight photo, caption, "If I could watch the moon with sister, I'd be happy as a fool." Finally, on my birthday, he called me and asked carefully if he could treat me to a meal. This request was abrupt and didn't fit his behavior as a reserved youth, but I agreed. The meal was arranged at a garden club. The sun was warm. He wore a white shirt, the breeze ruffling the hair on his forehead, standing in the sunlight smiling and waving at me. It made me think of Ethan back in the day for no reason. "Sister, happy birthday." He handed me a bouquet of flowers. I was a bit surprised. "How did you know today was my birthday?" He smiled mysteriously. "Because sister is in my heart." I smiled without speaking and took his flowers. His warm fingertips brushed against the back of my hand, seemingly unintentional yet deliberate. Seeing I didn't resist, he became bolder and poured 2 glasses of red wine. Wishing sister eternal youth, health, and happiness. I took the red wine, swirled the glass, and laughed self-deprecatingly. I didn't expect anyone to remember my birthday. "Is sister unhappy?" he asked distressedly. "Can you tell me? I don't want to see sister sad." I hesitated to speak, then sighed. "AI, a wealthy marriage, how can it be explained in a few sentences?" He went silent for a moment, then flashed a big smile. "Sister, it doesn't matter. Julian is here with you." Julian knows that being the CEO's wife looks glamorous, but is actually very hard. That day at the banquet, I saw sister's tired shoulders and couldn't control the urge to shelter sister from the wind and rain. I know this is unreasonable, and I know I can't compare to Mr. Blackwood. I don't ask for a title, nor dare I hope for forever. I just want to stay by sister's side, be sister's puppy, and make sister happy. My eyes flickered. "Shelter me from wind and rain, really?" He held up 3 fingers. "I swear, truer than truth. Then Venmo me $1 million first. Sister is quite frugal, just 1 million a month will do." The bright smile on Julian's face suddenly cracked, as if he'd been struck by lightning. "Sister, why must you break my heart like this? I don't have $1 million. I only have a heart that loves sister and would die for sister. But not having it now doesn't mean I won't have it in the future. I will prove to sister that I can support you. By then, will I be qualified to call sister Sylvia? Sister, a toast to our tomorrow." Bless me, I put down the wine glass and covered my face, weeping bitterly. "Julian, I'm too moved. I've lost my composure. Please turn around for a moment." He stepped forward. "My shoulder is available for sister to lean on." I shook my head. "No, please leave me a shred of self-respect. I never thought I would encounter true love in this life. Let me cry, just 1 minute. Please." Unable to resist my request, Julian turned his back. 1 minute later, I asked him to turn around, then raised the wine glass with tears in my eyes. "Julian, to our beautiful tomorrow, cheers." Seeing me drink, Julian's eyes lit up. That look was exactly like mine when I saw a pile of cash. After 1 glass of wine, I felt dizzy and collapsed to the side. Julian quickly caught me and whispered in my ear, "Is sister dizzy? There's a bed inside. Shall I help sister rest for a bit?" Though his tones seemed to be asking, his movements showed no hesitation. After throwing me onto the bed, he took a camera directly out of the cabinet and aimed it at me. I wasn't panicked at all. Lying on the bed, I said faintly, "Julian, you play pretty wild. Sister isn't afraid?" "Afraid of what?" I propped up my head. "We're already here. Can we avoid that kind of thing? You have to serve me well. I wonder if you're up to the task." Julian was in disarray. Aren't you afraid, mister? Blackwood will find out? If he finds out, he finds out. He can't perform, so am I not allowed to find someone else? Wealthy couples, you know how it is." "All right, Julian, stop pretending. Aren't you just craving my body and my bills? Rest assured, sister is lacking people right now. Do a good job, and if you do well, sister has a reward. But looking at your skinny, unimpressive frame, you're not worth much money. 500 a night, how about it?" "Strip. Let me inspect the goods first to see if it's worth 500. Julian's complexion visibly worsened. Finally, when I questioned that he wasn't worth 500, he raged, "Sister, you're bullying people too much. When I put up my sign to sell myself, it starts at 10,000. For this job, Mr. Blackwood gave me $1 million, and you actually think 500. Keep dreaming." What? I acted shocked. "Ethan actually gave you $1 million? Is he stupid? You're worth $1 million. I don't believe it. This is absolutely impossible. Ethan wouldn't have such poor taste. You must be lying to me. You aren't worth it. You're bragging." "Who's bragging? I'll show you the transfer record from Mr. Blackwood." HMPH, Julian excitedly shoved his phone in front of my face. "Open your eyes and look clearly. This young master is worth $1 million. Oh my God, Ethan really gave you $1 million. Why did he give you so much?" "Of course, it was to make me guide you, to make you commit adultery." Julian suddenly covered his mouth, looking panicked. Weren't you drugged? How can you still trick me into talking?" I smiled charmingly. "Of course, it's because you're stupid." That trick of turning his back to pour wine and taking the opportunity to pour powder hidden in his sleeve, did he think he could fool me? Did he think giving me a birthday celebration would move me? Hilarious. As someone who is no longer a simp or a saint, I would only suspect he had ulterior motives. Okay. I smashed the cup as a signal. The next second, Brandy burst in holding a beer bottle. Julian was tied to a chair by Brandy and me. Under Brandy's threat of smashing his head, he confessed the whole story. Sure enough, as I expected, he was sent by Ethan to guide me into making a mistake so that after the cooperation was finalized, he could pin a charge of marital infidelity on me and make me leave with nothing. In the face of ironclad evidence, even if I released the past recordings and took out the IOU written by Ethan, they could insist I forged them. I was fuming as I listened. I knew Ethan was scum, but I didn't think he was scum enough to not even care about saving face. I was his wife who had shared a bed with him for 3 years after all. Just to avoid giving me money, he hired someone to ruin me. I was furious. If I had known earlier, I would have agreed to him that night and cut off his little brother while he slept. Brandy said we should call the police, but I stopped her. With Ethan's network, calling the police would be useless, just like when Brandy called the police to no avail in my past life. I took the wine bottle and tapped the shivering Julian. "Little Julian, do you want to earn $2 million? Julian's eyes immediately lit up. "Is there such a good thing? Is it to be a double agent?" Little guy, pretty quick on the uptake. I nodded. "Help me confuse Ethan. Make him think I took the bait. Ask him for money in the name of our dates. We split the money 50-50. Afterwards, I'll give you another $1 million. I waved my phone. "Don't play tricks. I recorded your confession. The police can't catch Ethan, but catching you is a matter of one sentence." "What are you saying?" Julian suddenly became righteous. How could I go against my daddy? Right in front of me, Julian sent Ethan a few photos of me lying in bed. To act the full set, I hid at Brandy's house for the next few days and didn't go out. Julian, meanwhile, held a bouquet of flowers every day, gazing up from downstairs, rain or shine. Finally, on a stormy night, I held an umbrella, went downstairs, and brought the drenched Julian upstairs. The next day, we went on a trip to Europe together, of course, followed by Brandy wearing big sunglasses. Julian reported our movements to Ethan every day, sending photos and videos of us holding hands, incidentally asking Ethan for travel funds. Ethan stingily gave $50,000, telling us to go to places with fewer people and lower consumption. The reason was fear that we would be too high profile and expose my identity. During the project finalization period, Mrs. Blackwood, could not have a scandal. Fine, $50,000 was a bit little, but barely enough for our expenses. In the blink of an eye, a month passed, and the project cooperation plan was finalized. I saw Ethan's interview about the project on the financial news. Soon after, the project was confirmed. When Ethan called me to come back, the three of us were enjoying the sun, the beach, and toned abs on an island. Hearing the news, we promptly packed up and returned home. In a wealthy family, besides lots of money, there are lots of banquets. Just like this, to celebrate reaching the project cooperation, Ethan held a celebration gala. Those attending were his relatives, friends, and project partners closely related to him. Upon seeing me, Ethan's friends and family all looked disgusted, as if I were some kind of biohazard waste. In my past life, Ethan married me despite his family's opposition. I felt very guilty toward him and tried every way to integrate into his family environment. Although I didn't have money, I had a sincere heart. I wanted to influence them with love and kindness to make them accept me. Ethan's mother got a certain type of pneumonia. Even the nannies avoided her for fear of infection. Only I took care of her by her bedside without undressing to sleep until she recovered. But after she recovered, she only said coldly, "Clumsy. Not even as good as the servant who cleans the toilets at home." At that time, I was sad for a long time, constantly reflecting on whether I had done something wrong. But not long after, Ethan's mom called, asking me to take care of Ethan's sick aunt. I agreed with joy, thinking this was their recognition and acceptance of me, until I accidentally heard Ethan's aunt talking on the phone with his mother. "Just treat it as raising an obedient dog. Whoever Ethan likes, let him keep them outside. Keep this punching bag around for now. The family isn't short of this one mouthful of dog food." Dog, punching bag, make do, dog food, so in their eyes I didn't even count as a human being. No wonder they stopped opposing me and Ethan later on, because they only treated me as a pet. All right, today I'll let you witness the power of a cute pet going berserk. Lydia came too, and even brought gifts for everyone present. With me, this dogtail, as a comparison, the well-matched Lydia was naturally more popular with the elders. Ethan's mother pretended to pat Lydia a few times, scolding, "You heartless child, how could you bear to leave us and run abroad alone? If you hadn't run away back then, yours and Ethan's child would be 3 years old by now." Lydia glanced at me with feigned panic. "Auntie, don't say that. Sylvia will be sad. The matter between me and Ethan isn't anyone else's fault. It's only my fault for not having good fortune. Seeing Ethan living well, I am satisfied." Ethan's mother swept her gaze over me. Seeing me busy eating and drinking, she got even angrier. 3 years and her stomach hasn't made a move. Useless thing. Eat, 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 you only know how to eat. Were you a starving ghost reincarnated in your last life? I quickly stuffed the last bite of cake into my mouth, grinned, and smiled at her, spraying out a pile of cake crumbs. Ethan's mother immediately looked like she'd seen poop, quickly covering her mouth and turning her head. He successfully disgusted her. The banquet began. After his speech, Ethan said he wanted to play a video about the project's future for everyone to see and look forward to the future together. I took the lead in applauding from below. Lydia gave me a scornful glance and said in a voice only the two of us could hear, "Sylvia, you're dead." As I expected, the project video was swapped. On the screen were photos of me disheveled, photos of me bringing a man upstairs in the rain, and videos of me wearing a bikini playing on the beach with that man. The whole audience was shocked. Ethan was the first to recover, turned off the video, and said angrily, "Who is it? Who synthesized these photos to slander my wife, this dog of a man, actually playing the suppress before rising strategy?" Soon, a professional team arrived. After testing, those photos and videos were unprocessed originals. In other words, no one slandered me. I had cheated. Those who had been standing next to me immediately stepped back, keeping 3 meters away from me, looking disdainful. Ethan clutched his chest and questioned me painfully. "Sylvia, I loved you so much. Why did you betray me? Is there somewhere I wasn't good enough? Tell me, I can change." What a deep and affectionate domineering CEO persona. This way, whether he divorces or remarries, others will only sympathize with him and bless him. These will all become boosts to his career. I looked up at him, unable to imagine that within his heart, while looking so fragile and helpless at this moment, he hid such venomous thoughts. I suddenly remembered that rainy night 3 years ago, when he stood downstairs at my house begging me to be his girlfriend. His eyes were this fragile and helpless, making my heart soften instantly, dropping my defenses to believe him, to believe in a CEO romance novel for once. Unfortunately, my kindness and soft heart were ultimately fed to the dogs. Thinking of my tragic death in my past life and Brandy's despair after being violated with nowhere to turn, my heart went completely cold. "Ethan, wake up, this woman isn't worth your devotion. Ethan, divorce her, make her get out of the Blackwood family." Someone from a poor mountain valley marrying Ethan was already thanks to your ancestors' accumulated virtue, yet you dare to betray Ethan. "Watch me beat you to death." Ethan's cousin jumped out and kicked at me. Ethan immediately hugged me, and that kick landed solidly on his back. Now it was really serious. Everyone felt Ethan wasn't worth it, scolding me on Ethan's behalf for being an ungrateful wretch, a manipulative BTCH. Ethan's mother was so angry she cursed Ethan for being a fool. Lydia cried until her eyes were red. Sylvia, Ethan is so good. How could you bear to hurt him? Did you cheat on purpose to spite Ethan because I came back? Ethan and I are childhood sweethearts. Since I came back this time, he did indeed help me with a small favor. But that was just a bit of friendship between friends. Ethan and I have been innocent from beginning to end. If you hate me, Sylvia, then I'll leave right now. I only ask you to treat Ethan well. I hurt him once. I beg you not to hurt him again, okay? Many people present knew Ethan and Lydia had dated. Hearing Lydia's words, they hated me even more, gnashing their teeth. Ethan's cousin shouted, "Lydia, if anyone leaves, it should be her. You and Ethan were originally a couple. If that slut hadn't threatened Ethan back then, how would Ethan have married her? Ethan, divorce her. Our Blackwood family absolutely doesn't want this kind of rotten person with a stain on her character." The cousin's words drew a massive response. Everyone shouted for Ethan to divorce me. Ethan protected me behind him and said painfully, "Everyone, don't hurt Sylvia. Reaching this step today is my fault. Sylvia, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have forced you to marry me back then. If freedom is what you yearn for, I will let you go. Let's divorce." Phew, finally said the line. Honestly, watching them act is pretty tiring. I nodded calmly. Then will you still give me my share of the property? Sylvia, you cheated in marriage and still want to split the property. You're dreaming, the cousin raged. Aunt Beatrice, we absolutely cannot let this kind of woman take a single penny from our Blackwood family. Sylvia, sparing your dog life is already generous of us, and you still dare to ask for money? The male cousin also joined the cursing. I've really had enough of these too. From the moment I entered the Blackwood family, they targeted me as if I was eating their family's rice. Are you too annoying or what? Does me splitting Ethan's property concern you at all? What? Do you want to be Ethan's children and inherit his property? Mind your own messy business. All day gesturing at this family and that family, what kind of things are you? Unexpectedly, I talked back. The cousins were so angry they wanted to hit me, but Ethan protected me so they couldn't hit me. Sylvia, I'll give you the money. Ethan looked weary. 5 million, enough for you to live on for a lifetime. I shook my finger. No, 200 million, not a penny less. 200 million. The whole audience sucked in a breath of cold air. There was another round of cursing in the hall, but it didn't matter. They just repeated those same lines over and over, calling me greedy, a gold digger, an ungrateful wolf, and so on. Talking to me about morals in a wealthy circle is simply laughable. The most immoral people in this world are these capitalists who hold assets, thinking they can manipulate the world and control the lives of ordinary people. Ethan, asking you one last time, are you giving the 200 million or not? I asked sternly. Ethan had his back to the others. From an angle they couldn't see, he looked at me with coercion. Sylvia, cheating in marriage? If this goes to court, you won't even get 5 million. Our eyes met. His gaze was victorious. Good, I applauded. Mr. Blackwood, your social death package has arrived. Please sign for it. I smashed the cup. The dark screen lit up again. On the screen was Julian, tied to a chair, confessing every detail of how he was bought by Ethan to drug me. Julian cried like a pear blossom bathed in rain. I was originally a law-abiding gigolo. It was Mr. Blackwood who gave me $1 million to guide Sister, to manufacture evidence of her cheating so Sister would leave with nothing, not getting a single penny. Boo-hoo, Sister, please let me go. I heard Mr. Blackwood needs to take kidney pills to perform. But I'm young, Sister just needs to say the word, and I can satisfy Sister immediately. Following the video was the recording from the day I caught Ethan and Lydia. In the recording, it was clearly stated that Ethan and Lydia bumped uglies first, then promised me 200 million to make me cooperate with him to maintain the good man persona, divorcing only after securing the project. The kidney pills made another debut. Finally, there was the recording of me going to find him to write the IOU. The kidney pills completely went viral. This reversal truly left the people at the scene eating melons until they were dumbstruck. Ethan woke up as if from a dream, hurriedly calling people to turn off the screen. But his people were pinned down by the bodyguards Brandy had planted in advance. Sylvia, you dare to shadow me? Ethan was furious. I shrugged, looking innocent. Mr. Blackwood, I just want my 200 million back. You insisted on social death. I'm also very helpless. Just then, the door of the banquet hall was crashed open. Ethan's assistant ran in frantically. Mr. Blackwood, bad news. Our company's stock has plummeted. 5 partners have all announced they are stopping cooperation with us. Ethan was miserable lately. What happened at the banquet would originally only spread within the wealthy circle. Who knew that Lydia, this ruthless person, in order to push me to my death and make her ascent smoother, actually secretly arranged for someone to live stream the banquet. When it broadcasted me cheating and still asking for 200 million, netizens sprayed me into a sieve, even digging up ancestors I didn't know I had. Unexpectedly, the event reversed. The netizens, feeling deeply played, immediately turned their guns around and bombarded Ethan. The incident escalated rapidly. Several companies cooperating with Blackwood Group immediately announced the cessation of cooperation. Blackwood stocks plunged, and angry shareholders blocked the front of the Blackwood building, holding banners demanding an explanation. As for the internet, Ethan the Blue Pill Popper, Did Mr. Blackwood Get It Up Today? And Mr. Blackwood Best Scheming Male of the Year trended continuously for a week. A film and television company took advantage of the situation to release a short drama called The CEO's Villainous Wife, which broke 100 million in revenue within 3 days of its launch. And as the biggest sponsor of the short drama, a certain kidney pill company, their stock soared in a straight line. As for me, just a mediocre film investor who only took a few tens of millions in dividends. Half a month later, because the chain of evidence was sufficient, the court required Ethan to pay me the 200 million debt according to the IOU, plus damages for emotional distress. When Ethan came to find me, his face didn't look good. The business world is cruel. How many rivals wished for the Blackwood family to fall so they could take a bite of their flesh? Look, we didn't even need to lift a finger. Those evidences hidden in the dark were brought to the table one by one. Tax evasion, asset transfer, gray industries. The Blackwood family would have a hard time passing this hurdle. Sylvia, I was wrong. Ethan grabbed my hand, his gaze fragile and broken. Only after you left did I realize I didn't like Lydia anymore. The person I love is you. Give me another chance. Come back to my side, okay? I sneered. Do you like me, or do you like the 200 million in my hand? Ethan's face stiffened. Ethan, have you ever thought about it? If I hadn't been alert and seen through your plan, the person with nowhere to go right now would be me. Would you help me? No, you would only clink glasses with Lydia, celebrating your perfect plan and love. So, why should I help you? What kind of thing are you? Ethan stopped pretending, his eyes cold and angry. Sylvia, do you think you can bring me down just because you have a little money? I will rise again and make you die without a burial place. I wiped the hand he had touched with a towel and smiled. We'll see. A month later, the Blackwood Group was liquidated. I heard it would be hard for them to turn over a new leaf. I used to think that a group like Blackwood was indestructible, something mortals like me could only look up to. But in front of the law, they ain't SHT. Deserved it. One day, Brandy and I went to look at a luxury penthouse. From a distance, we heard a man and a woman arguing. The voices sounded like old acquaintances. Walking closer to look, hey, it really was them. We saw Lydia pulling a suitcase wanting to leave and Ethan refusing. Ethan begged, Lydia, you said you would accompany me no matter what. Lydia was very impatient. Big brother, wake up. If I hadn't heard you took power and knowing I was doing fine abroad, why would I come back? Ethan gritted his teeth. What do you mean? Seeing I have no money, you want to break up. Lydia, I ended up in this state for you. Lydia, otherwise, without the Blackwood Group, what do I want from you? Honestly, pretending to enjoy it when I was actually miserable was really hard. I don't know how Sylvia survived these 3 years. Lydia, you slut, Ethan slapped Lydia across the face. The two began to pull and fight. Seeing the situation turn bad, I quickly opened a video app and started live streaming. Brandy thoughtfully blocked the property security for them, waiting until the netizens had watched enough before separating the two. Lydia, with messy hair, only wanted to run away. She even forgot the hostile relationship between her and me. Seeing me, she ran over like she saw a savior and said to me, 200 million, you deserve it. It was too suffocating, really too suffocating. I never want to see kidney pills again in this life. Forget it. Considering her mental state is quite advanced, I forgive her. Ethan had bruises on his face. Seeing me, he still looked arrogant. Sylvia, what are you doing here? Unless you beg me, I won't reconcile with you. Brandy rolled her eyes at him and pushed him away. We're here to buy a house. Please move. The property agent smiled awkwardly. Mr. Blackwood, the ones buying this penthouse are these two ladies. In the end, Ethan sold the penthouse belonging to him and Lydia with hatred. Otherwise, he would still have to pay me breach of contract fees. Speaking of which, the money he used to buy this penthouse was marital property between him and me. Forget it, treat it as poverty alleviation. I don't lack that little bit now anyway. When signing my name on the contract, Ethan gritted his teeth and told me, I will definitely be back. I nodded like pounding garlic. Die harder next time. I didn't bother with what happened to Ethan later. I heard he relied on his looks to become a live-in son-in-law. After tasting the sweetness of short dramas, I simply invested in making short dramas, becoming a small boss with Brandy, making money flourish. After being detained for 15 days, Julian came to find me, saying he wanted to be the male lead in a short drama. I rejected him. Julian, the entertainment industry isn't a trash can where any garbage can be stuffed inside. If even you can be an idol, what kind of example does that set for the people watching the drama? If even you can make millions a day, how can we face those people working hard in frontline positions? Julian cried bitterly, swearing he wouldn't be a gigolo anymore, nor would he do things that hurt people for money. I expressed relief and gave him $1 million. This was what I promised him back then. I am a person who keeps my word. Once he got the money, he stopped crying, but he walked slowly, looking back every 3 steps. Finally, just as he was about to step over the threshold, he asked me, Sister, don't you need a man by your side to warm you? I looked out the window at Brandy, who was on the phone communicating about a project. Her smile was brighter and warmer than the spring sunlight in March. I laughed softly. Is a man some kind of necessity? Just a toy for icing on the cake. Story 2. The cat and mouse game had been playing on repeat for years. This time, his method of winning me back was to announce our divorce at our 8th wedding anniversary dinner. Ethan Montgomery even deliberately invited industry insiders to watch my humiliation, just to amuse his latest trophy girlfriend. He tossed the divorce papers in my face, then leaned in, whispering with an air of nonchalance. The little girl is spoiled, just play along. It's a fake divorce. $10 million, how about it? I calmly opened the agreement and decisively signed my name. So, what if she married up to Ethan relying on her beauty when she was young? Now that she's older, she's just going to be humiliated and discarded. This is karma. Think of how many resources she got for free thanks to Ethan all these years. Finally dumped. She's going to disappear from the entertainment industry. She was just a canary in a cage back then too. What goes around comes around. I let out a long breath, and amidst the crowd's mockery, I held my head high and walked toward the main doors. No one knew that the person outside had already arranged a Rolls-Royce and was getting a bit impatient waiting. I had just walked out of the villa gates when Ethan's assistant chased after me. Miss Reynolds, Mr. Montgomery asked that you take off the haute couture dress before you leave. Miss Summers said, she likes it. Ethan had just coaxed his canary back, so naturally, he listened to whatever she said. Chloe Summers walked out linking arms with Ethan, standing on the steps looking down at me. Name your price. It's just a dress, Lana. Have some perspective. He knew perfectly well that I had spent a year building a relationship with the brand to get this haute couture piece. If I didn't return it on time, I would be soft-banned by the fashion world. He knew perfectly well that the villa was surrounded by reporters. If I walked out of there stripped, the trending topics tomorrow would humiliate me beyond repair. But he didn't care. He didn't care about my glory, he didn't care about my future, and he didn't care about me. Perhaps because in the years since we married, I had acted my role too well. Ethan was certain I loved him to the bone and couldn't leave him, so he acted without restraint. He was too used to my compromises and concessions, so he never considered whether this would embarrass me or cost me opportunities. Seeing I remained silent, Chloe raised an eyebrow at me. Miss Reynolds, you are 32, after all one has to accept aging. The spirit of this dress is too youthful, it doesn't suit you. I smiled gently and spoke softly. 32 is indeed not young in the entertainment industry. Then I wish Chloe eternal youth, that you never live to see 30. Chloe paused, frowning as she tried to decipher the meaning of my words and the idiom I implied. I smiled. Ethan's canary was beautiful, certainly, but uneducated. I intended to leave quickly, but Ethan grabbed my arm and yanked me back. Apologize. And if I don't? Ethan's eyes narrowed slightly and his grip on my arm tightened. Strip her and throw her out, I was stunned. The next second, several maids came up, grabbed my arms, and started to get physical. The more I struggled, the harder the maids pulled. I screamed and shouted, but no one cared. Chloe linked her arm through Ethan's, looked at me arrogantly, then whined, "Ethan, I see Miss Reynolds really loves this dress. Since she's unwilling, maybe we should forget it?" Ethan didn't speak, his lips pressed into a tight line, seeming to wait for me to beg for mercy. Hearing the commotion, the people in the hall came out to watch the show. By this time, I had been stripped by the maids down to my panties and silicone nipple covers. Ethan took a step forward and spoke in a low voice. "Do you know you were wrong?" I shuddered all over, tears dripping from my cheeks, and ran out the villa gates. Behind me came the sounds of the crowd's mockery and excited laughter. I rushed out the door, got into the Rolls-Royce, wiped away a tear, and whispered, "Sorry for the trouble, take me to the hotel." I don't know who posted the photos and videos online, but the hashtags exploded. Top star marries rich ends up stray dog Lana Reynolds flees home at midnight. The hashtags blew up the trending lists that night. The next day, my agent informed me that the endorsements we were negotiating were considering someone else. For the drama starting filming the day after tomorrow, the second female lead was changed to Chloe, and her screen time was increased to exceed mine, the lead. Ethan was like that. Whoever he liked, he would pile everything he could give onto them. I had received such treatment before, perhaps even more so. In just 3 years, Ethan had raised me from obscurity to an A-list star. Back then, everyone was guessing who my backer was, saying I was some tycoon's mistress. When Ethan found out, he went online with his real name to fight the netizens, posting a diamond ring and blatantly announcing our engagement. Everyone said I was lucky, debuting at the peak, leaping into a wealthy family with a husband who was handsome, rich, and loved me. I briefly thought so too, and once proudly told a joke. I didn't marry into wealth. I married for love. I cannot deny he once had genuine feelings for me, only that sincerity is fleeting. We couldn't escape the cliché laws of love. After the red rose became a bloodstain on the wall, he felt the white moonlight shining elsewhere. In our 8 years of marriage, Chloe was actually not the first girl to appear. Girls had cried and asked me, "Why don't you divorce Ethan when he's like this?" I thought about it, dried her tears, and said, "Probably because the result is always the same." I didn't tell the truth. Actually, it was because, compared to love, there were things I wanted to hold onto more, things I was more afraid of losing, things I needed to realize sooner. When I was a child, my grandfather would drag his bad leg and walk for a whole day just to borrow $100 for my tuition. Grandma's back hurt so much she couldn't get out of bed, washing her face with tears all day, yet she couldn't bear to spend a few dollars on painkillers. In elementary school, when I accidentally broke a classmate's pencil case, my first reaction was to kneel and apologize. Hit me, scold me, anything was fine, just don't ask me to pay. In middle school, I couldn't afford sanitary pads and couldn't help but sneak a hand into a classmate's bag. Everything I experienced was screaming at me. I don't know if sincerity is useful, but money is very useful. Growing up, I never hid my desire for money from anyone I met, so I waited for Ethan. That's why before we got married, Ethan would throw money at my sincerity time and time again. After marriage, he used money to shut me up, to buy my blind eye. I gladly accepted my persona of the infatuated woman, playing the wife who loved him desperately in front of outsiders and him. Because I loved him, I never made things difficult for him. I was well-behaved, sensible, and obedient. Because I loved him, I could accept woman after woman appearing by his side as long as he didn't divorce me. Of course, this wasn't a lie. I did love him. I loved that he was willing to spend money on me, loved the resources he gave. I loved that he lifted me to this position, helping me soar to the clouds. I loved that he helped me make a lot of money, giving grandpa and grandma the best life, never having to be troubled over a few dollars again. Yeah, how is that not love? Ethan is actually very naive and pitiful. He saw no love in his environment growing up, so he craves love extremely. He hopes the girl's love will make up for the fact that he lacks it, yet because of his money and status, he wants the girls to be obedient and sensible. But he doesn't understand girls. A girl who truly loves a man cannot remain calm and obedient when she knows he has someone else. Ethan would coax a temperamental little girl, but his patience was limited. Chloe has been the canary who stayed by his side the longest, coaxed time and time again. Naturally, I stayed longer, even securing the position of the official wife. Over these years, Ethan changed girl after girl, but never thought of replacing me, the wife who was full of love for him and obedient. Maybe thanks to my excellent acting skills. Only now I am going on strike. Actually, as early as a year ago, I realized I had reached the end with Ethan. He only gave me cash, but refused to let me participate in capital operations where money makes money. He wanted me to retain my stardom, but rejected many projects that could improve my abilities on my behalf. To put it bluntly, he only wanted me to be a vase dependent on him. But I wanted to be more than just a vase. However, I didn't divorce him immediately. I couldn't divorce him immediately. First, because the Montgomery family's power is real. If I initiated the divorce, it would be too easy for him to trip me up. It would also leave an image of ingratitude in the capital circle. After all, Ethan was the one who made me famous. And if I want to mix in the capital circle, I either need someone to endorse me or keep my posture low enough for others to be willing to play with me. Second, because I allowed Ethan to cheat after marrying into a wealthy family, the public had long grown tired of my pampered wife persona. Living off this industry, I never minded being scolded, but I cared about whether I could still get big projects. If I wanted to make a name for myself in the circle, relying on fans wasn't enough. Public favorability was crucial. I had been looking for the best timing to salvage my public image, so I was waiting. Waiting for Ethan to propose the divorce himself. Waiting for someone who could bring me into the capital circle. And then this person appeared at just the right moment. After meeting him, I had already started planning my departure. So when Ethan proposed divorce in front of everyone to coax Chloe, I let out a long breath and signed calmly. So when Ethan asked me to take off the haute couture, I resisted on purpose. Captured by reporters, a wave of press releases, a wave of sympathy. Everything is ready now. It's time to replace him. I slept peacefully and arrived on set early on the day filming started. After I shot 2 scenes with a stand-in, Chloe finally arrived late. The biggest investor in this drama was Ethan, so whether Chloe was late or not didn't matter at all. Her treatment was better than mine, the lead actress. Couldn't remember lines? Change them too few scenes. Add more several extremely unreasonable additions and lines, and the director agreed without a word. I smiled, patiently waiting for Chloe's active provocation. Sure enough, under the guise of filming, she deliberately slapped me hard in the face for the 10th time. I shook my hand out and slapped her back directly, perforating her eardrum. Naturally, she called Ethan, aggrieved. Everyone naturally stopped work to wait with her. Within an hour, Ethan arrived. Chloe clutched her face, nestling in his arms with teary eyes. Ethan sneered, wrapped his arm around Chloe, and looked at me with a faint smile. "Lana, your temper has really grown recently." I lowered my head with my red and swollen face, saying nothing, my fingers twisting my clothes desperately. I knew I looked most pitiable this way. Sure enough, Ethan paused and spoke softly. "Apologize, I can let bygones be bygones." I looked up at Ethan with shock in my eyes, tears falling, and spoke tremblingly. I did nothing wrong. Ethan was publicly contradicted by me, and his anger instantly flared. "Then stand right here under the sun. Everyone else wrap up saying that he took everyone away." Of course, I wouldn't stand there like a fool. I waited for the paparazzi to take enough photos, then immediately fainted on the spot. Seeing this, my assistant immediately ran over, shouting for people to carry me to the hospital. When I opened my eyes in the hospital, press releases were already flying everywhere. Chloe Summers vents anger on set, Lana Reynolds faints with swollen face and seeks medical attention. I was scrolling through netizens' comments when I received a call from my mother. Yes, the mother who was nowhere to be found during my childhood, but suddenly popped up after I became famous. She opened with an interrogation. "What is wrong with you? You're married to Ethan, yet you let some little fox suppress you. I told you long ago to hurry up and have a baby. If you had a child, you wouldn't listen, and now look, the duck that was in your mouth has flown away." I laughed coldly. "You gave birth to a child for a man outside, yet weren't you still swept out the door and now rely on me to support you?" She said hatefully, "How can you say that? Mom says this for your own good. How can you break Mom's heart like this? You're young now, you can eat from this bowl for a few more years, but when you're older, when your beauty fades, you'll know how hard life is without a man after a divorce." I hung up directly and laughed out loud. If I didn't care about that tiny bit of kinship and reputation, I wouldn't acknowledge her at all. I worked so hard, acting, making money, but in her eyes, none of it was as good as finding a man. She once relied on a good appearance to dump me with my grandparents in the countryside after my dad died, going off to live a comfortable life for 2 years. She felt the path she took was right. Even though she was tragically abandoned later, she attributed all of fate's bumps to meeting the wrong person. She took finding a good man as the only creed in her life. Now, she wants me to do the same. Perhaps deep down, she never felt I achieved everything because of myself, which is why she wants me to continue being a parasitic flower. She said that as long as I held onto Ethan's thigh, I would be happy for life. But in fact, I knew clearly that it was nothing more than an imaginary mirage. I became a top-tier A-list celebrity, certainly with the resources Ethan gave me. But I also seized the opportunities myself. I joined film crews back to back, I honed my acting skills, I spoke human language to humans and ghost language to ghosts, fighting desperately for every opportunity. I scrolled through fan feedback until midnight every day, seriously reviewing everything I did and every word I said. That's why I could become famous so fast and stay famous for so long. Unfortunately, no one thinks so. Like my mother, they all think I have today's position because of Ethan. But may I ask? Capital supports more than just me. Why am I the only one standing in this position that no one can shake? They won't think deeply about it, nor do they want to. But it doesn't matter. I will help them think. I will become a perfect victim, then quietly ascend to a bigger stage. I want to earn enough sympathy points from public opinion without being swallowed by it. Our battlefield in the entertainment industry has never been on the red carpet, but on the netizens' keyboards. But Chloe doesn't seem to understand this principle and is even smug about her victory. Ethan and I also fell into a cold war for the first time in our 8 years of marriage. A few days later, Ethan transferred $10 million to my card. The memo was fees for acting with me. I transferred it back without hesitation. This was the first time I refused Ethan's money, not because I didn't love money anymore, but because this money couldn't be taken. Because I really wasn't acting with him. I really wanted a divorce. But Ethan seemed very angry and called that day to scold me furiously. "Lana Reynolds, I'm waiting for you to come begging me." All these years, I had maintained the persona of being infatuated and loyal only to him, so Ethan couldn't handle it when I broke character slightly this time. Actually, if Ethan were smart enough, he should have figured it out. When an employee doesn't care about the boss's emotions, it only means one thing. She's about to quit. After parting on bad terms with Ethan, he began to promote Chloe with intensified effort. He even gave her resources from famous directors that I had never been allowed to contact. He was forcing me to bow my head. Of course, I would bow my head. Only this would be the last time. At the end of the year, platform banquets and award ceremonies were piling up. I dialed Ethan's number, but he hung up immediately. Fortunately, I knew too well how to coax him. I sent him voice messages on WhatsApp one by one, my voice weak and trembling, sounding like I had just cried. "Baby, don't be mad anymore. I regretted it right after throwing a tantrum at you. I've been crying every day. You also know I've always told the media that you and Chloe are friends. I don't want to be interrogated on the red carpet. I need you." I had investigated Ethan a long time ago. His mother died early, his father didn't care about him at all, and he grew up with a stepmother and 2 half-brothers. He was a neglected child during his growth. So being needed and being loved are goals he pursues all his life. Thus, the first time I met him, I tailored a hero saves the beauty drama just for him. Back then, I knew nothing. I was tricked by a talent scout into signing an unfair contract. Not only did I not have any resources, but I also had to accompany men for drinks. I didn't have the capital to breach the contract, so I could only feign illness and play dumb to dodge a few times. So that time, I spent the last $1,000 I had to buy Ethan's itinerary from a paparazzo. I actively requested to the company that I wanted to attend the drinking party. That day, I wore a white t-shirt and jeans, looking like a pure, innocent flower. Pushing open the private room door with a slightly terrified look, there sat several middle-aged men inside. After a few drinks, they started getting touchy with me. I hurriedly made an excuse to go to the restroom, observing the movement in Ethan's private room at the end of the corridor. Finally, the moment he stepped out of his room, I accidentally bumped into his chest. Looking at him with eyes as terrified as a deer, I slowly spoke. "Boss, can I follow you?" He was much taller than me, the corner of his mouth hooked into a smile. "Why? Do I look like I'm lacking women?" I shook my head, a blush spreading across my face. "No, it's that you are very good-looking, better looking than any man I've ever seen." I saw the shock in Ethan's eyes. At this moment, the pot-bellied man came out to find me since I hadn't returned for a long time. Seeing me, he came up and put his arm around me, trying to grope me. I took out a small knife I had prepared in advance and pointed it at the man. The man grabbed my hand, slapped me, cursed me for not knowing what was good for me, and tried to tear my clothes off right there in public. Ethan stepped forward, grabbed the pot-bellied man's hand, pinned him against the wall, and spoke with a sinister smile. "She belongs to me, Ethan Montgomery. Try touching her again and see what happens." I dropped the knife and threw myself into his arms, trembling so much I couldn't stand. Only when he hugged me back did I finally relax. A week later, I terminated my contract. So, a long time later, Ethan replied to me, "We'll see when the time comes." But I knew he would definitely come. On the day of the red carpet, Ethan sent over an Eli Saab haute couture dress and sent a car to pick me up from the set early. I naturally made sure Chloe saw it on purpose. I also deliberately provoked her in a whisper she could hear. "Sorry, you're just a plaything between us, husband and wife. Tonight you will hear Ethan say with your own ears that he loves me. As for you, Miss Summers, you are about to be replaced just like trash." Chloe couldn't believe it. She clenched her hands and called Ethan. "I'm going to the red carpet tonight. To accompany her." She naturally didn't dare to argue with Ethan, but Ethan's tone and words instantly made Chloe's face turn ugly. After hanging up, she said to me viciously, "You old hag, you think you can beat me. Even King Gougian slept on brushwood and tasted gall to endure for victory. Naturally, I can too." Then she ran away. I really wanted to advise her to read more books. It was King Gougian who slept on brushwood. That evening, Ethan held my hand and walked the red carpet, putting on a big show of affection in front of the media. Just before I was to go into the main hall to receive my award, Ethan, who was by my side just a moment ago, disappeared. I smiled knowingly and calmly walked toward Ethan's lounge. Through the pinhole camera I had placed inside in advance, I watched what was happening. Provoked by me, Chloe was indeed impatient to seek security from Ethan. She sat on Ethan's lap, twisting her waist, cooing coquettishly. "I want it, I want it." I took a deep breath to steady my hands, which were trembling with excitement. Chloe was turned over, half kneeling, lying lightly on the sofa. "Ethan, is it exciting to do it with me while Lana is accepting her award?" Chloe turned her head back to ask, her face full of lust. "You have the nerve to ask? Then who is better? Her or me? Shut up, turn around." "Ah, be gentle, Ethan," Chloe whined softly. "Who told you to hook me into doing it now? Even if it hurts, hold it in for me," Ethan whispered hoarsely, leaning over. When Ethan finished, I glanced at the time. 5 minutes, really short. I hurriedly prepared my emotions. It was time for my entrance. Chapter 10 continued. The lock on the lounge door had long been tampered with by me so it couldn't lock. When I pushed the door open, both of them jumped. Immediately, Chloe raised her eyebrows indifferently. "Oh, isn't this Miss Reynolds, who should be accepting an award right now?" Ethan, on the other hand, calmly stood up, adjusted his clothes, and lit a cigarette. He asked nonchalantly, "Why are you here? Done accepting the award?" A staff member behind me ran up. Seeing me, he spoke into his headset. Found Miss Reynolds, then seeing the two people opposite, his face instantly turned pale with fright. I quickly steadied myself, trembling all over, unable to say a word, tears falling like a broken string of pearls. Seeing I wouldn't stop crying, Ethan waved his hand, signaling Chloe to leave first. Chloe rolled her eyes at me unwillingly, slowly put on the panties thrown on the sofa, and said to Ethan with a shy face, "Then I'll go out first." Walking past me, she smirked, "You already signed the divorce papers. Still think you're the main wife?" I retorted clearly and loudly, "As long as Ethan and I haven't divorced for a single day, you are the mistress for that day." After Chloe left, Ethan extinguished his cigarette, got up from the sofa, walked over and hugged me. "All right, stop crying. I'll give you 10 million, is that enough? Let's go, it's almost time for your award. It won't look good if your makeup is ruined." I pushed him away. He smelled of a mixture of Chloe's perfume and the scent of their tryst, a disgusting smell. Ethan tried to hug me again. I pushed him away again. Seeing the slight annoyance in his eyes, I struck first. I trembled and said aggrievedly, "You really don't care about my feelings at all. Today is the day I receive my award." Ethan rubbed his forehead and sighed. "Lana, I told you we won't divorce. It's just acting to coax Chloe. Why are you taking it so seriously? You were fine with those women I found before, weren't you? What's wrong today?" I laughed coldly. "It's different, Ethan. This time you let me see it with my own eyes. I love you, I could bury my head in the sand, but this time I saw it happen right in front of me. How can I pretend I know nothing? I love you, Ethan. But how could you, relying on the fact that I love you, do that kind of thing with Chloe right here, right when I'm accepting an award? I am a woman, Ethan. I am your wife, I love you. You teach me, Ethan, teach me how to pretend I feel nothing." I collapsed onto the floor crying, my body shaking. Ethan sighed and squatted down in front of me. "Okay, it was my fault today. I shouldn't have lost control just now, it's all because. I'll give you 20 million, okay?" I continued to cry. "Be good, don't be mad. Next time I definitely won't disregard the occasion." "There is no next time," I whispered, lowering my eyes. "What did you say?" Ethan asked in disbelief. I said, "Ethan, there is no next time. Tomorrow is the last day of our divorce cooling off period. 9 a.m., see you at the Civil Affairs Bureau." Ethan hadn't expected that bowing his head for the first time in 8 years wouldn't result in me taking the graceful way out. Ethan's eyes filled with frost as he narrowed them and spoke. "Take back the divorce talk. I'll pretend I didn't hear anything." I said nothing, just shook my head firmly while shedding tears. Ethan's face had turned iron blue, speaking through gritted teeth. "Lana, think clearly. If we divorce, we are completely over. Over means finished. There's no medicine for regret." I gave a miserable smile. "Ethan, maybe you forgot. We didn't first meet at the KTV, but at a dinner party even earlier. There were many people that day and you didn't notice me, but I had already noticed you from then on." Yes, noticed him in casual clothes, yet vaguely revealing a Patek Philippe on his wrist. I once said, "I didn't marry into wealth, I married for love." I love you, so I tried hard to make myself blind and deaf, acting dumb. I thought, no matter how much you messed around with women outside, you wouldn't divorce me. Until our 8th wedding anniversary, the moment you threw the divorce papers in my face. Until just now, when I saw you and Chloe like that. I am a human being, Ethan. I love you, but love and sincerity are truly worthless to you. Ethan, I'm tired, I'm letting you go. Your stomach isn't good, drink less alcohol in the future. Red-eyed, I finished speaking these words with a choke in my voice, then stood up, lifted my skirt, and ran away. I was afraid if I didn't run, I wouldn't make it to the award presentation. I don't know if it was an illusion, but I saw Ethan reach out a hand, his eyes rimmed with red. I stood on the podium, a single clear tear rolling down from the corner of my eye, and spoke softly. "Congratulations to me for winning this award today, and congratulations to me for getting divorced today." After saying this, I almost ran off the stage crying. Everyone around gasped, unable to believe they had witnessed such gossip firsthand. Also, I don't know who uploaded the audio recording and short video of the confrontation between me, Ethan, and Chloe to the internet. My image as a heartbroken, pure white flower who dares to love and hate won the overwhelming favor of the public. Heartache for Lana exploded. Lana Beautiful alone exploded the incident where Chloe slapped my face until it was swollen was also dug up, revealed as an attempt by the mistress to usurp the throne. Anonymous netizens came out to break the news one after another. Staff member here, I can verify. Chloe always made things difficult for Lana on set. That slapping scene, the director passed it on the first take, but she insisted on redoing it a dozen times. That day, Mr. Montgomery made Lana stand as punishment. The look in Lana's eyes looking at Mr. Montgomery, sorry, I really felt so much pity. As an old fan, let me say, my Lana is beautiful and hardworking. Even if Ethan didn't give her resources, as long as she had a chance, she would have become famous. Does anyone remember she decisively married Ethan when she was most famous? The love in her eyes back then couldn't be hidden. Exactly, the light in her eyes back then couldn't lie. Those who called my Lana a resource hog and a canary, come out and apologize now. Support my sister being beautiful on her own, Ethan, that scumbag who eats from the bowl while looking at the pot. Stay away from my sister. You guys are heartache over love. Let me say this, Lana is really professional. She jumps into ice water without hesitation, never takes leave, never uses a stand-in, always honing her acting skills. In contrast to a certain someone, putting aside the diva behavior, she's unprofessional and makes us work overtime every day. With that silicone face of hers, could she be professional even if she wanted to? It's all stiff. I don't know what Ethan sees in her. Maybe shit smells like perfume to some people. Public opinion leaned overwhelmingly to my side. Meanwhile, I was at the Four Seasons Hotel in Hong Kong, overlooking the full view of Victoria Harbor, drinking red wine while shedding clear tears. However, the reason I flew here was, firstly, I knew Ethan definitely wouldn't go to the Civil Affairs Bureau today, and secondly, I knew Sebastian Sterling was in Hong Kong. Sebastian Sterling was the new springboard I had sought out. 6 months ago, I went to the US for an event. I painfully spent $70,000 on a ticket to sneak into the Greenwich Economic Forum. The forum gathered top investors and entrepreneurs from around the globe, and I chose Sebastian from among them at a glance, not just because of the $10 billion fund company in his profile, but also because the way he looked at me was as if he was stripping me bare. When the forum ended, I generously stepped up to strike a conversation. Is it convenient to give me a ride? Getting out of the car, I turned back with a raised eyebrow and a smile. Want to come up for a cup of tea? Sebastian kissed me right there in the elevator. Honestly, I didn't expect the fishing to be this smooth. There are cameras, I whispered coquettishly. Kissed until my legs were weak and I couldn't stand, I simply wrapped myself around his slender waist. Sebastian glanced at the camera and continued to kiss me without any scruples. The moment he swiped the room key, he suddenly held my hand. Lana, this is your last chance. Huh. The tycoon is so ascetic, calling a halt at this stage. I looked up at him, touched his high brow bone, pulled down his tie, and whispered in his ear. Wanting to back out now, too late. Sebastian suddenly laughed, held my waist tight, and entered the room. Then, if you want to regret it later, there's no chance either. Our first time, honestly, was completely different from what I imagined. Before we even reached the bedroom, his hot hands caressed my whole body, and he gasped, Lana, so tight I can't hold back. 5 minutes later, I realized what he meant. So these rich men all just last a few minutes. I rolled my eyes internally, with a smile on my face. I secretly determined that once I achieved financial freedom, I must find someone young with good stamina. Seeing I didn't speak, Sebastian picked me up and threw me into the bathtub, lowering his head to kiss me gently. Try laughing at me again. That was just the appetizer. Now comes the main course. My eyes widened, incredulous that he knew what I was thinking. The next second, I knew exactly what his words meant. Sebastian, I called out coquettishly. It was clearly a plea for mercy, but it sounded more like an invitation. Lana, does it feel good? I shook my head, refusing to answer him. He wasn't annoyed, placing gentle kisses on my body over and over. Tortured until I couldn't take it, I finally spoke with tears in my eyes. It feels good, it feels good. Finally, in the moment consciousness drifted away, Sebastian said a sentence in my ear with an extremely faint voice. If it feels good, will you stay? In the days that followed, I kept wondering when I had met Sebastian before, but I couldn't find the answer. Because I always had the illusion that I was the prey. The day before I was to leave, Sebastian rested his chin on the side of my neck and rubbed gently, but said nothing. I touched his hand and asked, What's wrong? You're going back? Yes, I'm going back. Things on my end aren't finished yet, a lot of work matters aren't finished. Sebastian fell silent. Are you trying to ask me about Ethan? Will you? If I say I will divorce, do you believe it? Sebastian lowered his eyes, his thin lips parting lightly. I want to believe. I was about to say something else when Sebastian bit me, looking at me seriously. Lana, I won't be absent-minded, I won't be half-hearted, I won't make you cry or be sad, I won't finish in 5 minutes. Lana, be with me. What is easily obtained is not cherished, so I refused. I didn't expect Sebastian to look at me with eyes full of heartbreak. Then what are we? What were these few days? Sebastian held my shoulders, his voice trembling. Lana, what do you take me for? I looked baffled. Is the tycoon this innocent? I really couldn't handle this move. I gritted my teeth, lightly brushed his hand, my face full of deep affection. Wait for me to resolve things over there, then I'll come find you. I don't want you and me to have an ambiguous relationship. I can't let you be the other man. Sebastian sighed, seeming to compromise. Wait for me to finish the matters at hand, and I'll return to the country with you. Chapter 12 continued. Naturally, I wouldn't be foolish enough to wait for him. I flew back to the country the next day and used Chloe to have a complete fallout with Ethan. Because of the public opinion, the director granted me 2 days of leave. I intended to lay dead in the hotel for 2 days, but I thought of Sebastian. Seeing his location at a hotel in his WeChat moments, I decisively came to Hong Kong to try my luck. Sure enough, drinking glass after glass in the hotel's executive lounge, I waited until Sebastian arrived. I saw him and pretended to be stunned. It's you, what a coincidence. He sat opposite me without a word, only speaking after a long time. Crying for that incapable man who only finds his sense of existence in women. Still drinking glass after glass here. I didn't speak, just moved to his side and leaned on him. I'm not. You forgot, I'm divorcing him for you. Without waiting for my second sentence, Sebastian pressed my head down and kissed me again. The third day, early in the morning, before Sebastian woke up, I returned to Beijing. Sebastian probably encountered a woman who left without saying goodbye twice for the first time. I think I must have left a deep impression on his heart. As soon as I landed, I received his message. Went back, me? The crew only gave 2 days off. Back to work today. I need money, lots and lots of money. This was a test, testing if he was generous, if he was willing to pour resources into me. With these tycoons, you have to sincerely reveal your purpose. Money, they don't lack it anyway. Love is the thing they are truly scarce of. I won't ask rich people for love, and I certainly won't ask poor people for money. But I also didn't want to turn from Ethan's vase into just a flower in Sebastian's backyard, even if Sebastian was indeed better in bed. But I wanted to try. This time, could I become the gardener? As soon as I got in the car, Zio Chen reported the public opinion trends of the past 3 days to me. Chloe cried her eyes out making excuses, saying when she was with Ethan, she thought he was divorced. The result was Ethan posting directly on Twitter to slap her face, saying he just had a small conflict with his wife recently, and he's coaxing her. My agent rambled on about all the good things. Business contacts returned, public favorability returned, everything thriving. Before the agent finished speaking, the car arrived at the set. Everyone cast sympathetic looks at me, and I also pretended to be haggard while pulling myself together. The second day back on set, Ethan came. He decorated a whole hall in pink, a spectacle bigger than a marriage proposal. This is the diamond ring I ordered for you from Chomet half a year ago. It just arrived recently. This wasn't the first time Ethan gave me things. Every time he coaxed his canary, he would always compensate me with something, and I naturally accepted it all. Looking at this 8-carat pear-shaped diamond, I knew it was worth at least 8 figures. Did I like it? Naturally, I liked it. But now I could afford to buy it myself. I spent 8 years by Ethan's side, working desperately, joining film crews back to back, just to be able to say, I want to put my emotions ahead of these material things. I myself am more important than these things. Ethan can no longer put a price on me. Mr. Montgomery, we are already divorced. I cannot accept your things. Just as I turned to leave, Ethan grabbed me. We didn't get the divorce certificate yet. This time it was my fault. I will make Chloe get lost from this drama. You are still the female lead. His eyes were urgent, but he couldn't continue for a long time. I interrupted him. Mr. Montgomery, I hope you can appear at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau on Monday. I walked very fast. Since there were other people from the crew nearby, he couldn't follow. Naturally, Ethan didn't appear on Monday again, but nothing could stop my career from starting to sail smoothly with the wind. The high-end luxury jewelry brand I hadn't been able to negotiate directly airdropped the title of Global Ambassador to me. Then they pushed 2 Golden September magazine covers for me. Even movie resources I didn't dare to dream of before leaned towards me. I couldn't finish picking through scripts. It went so smoothly that my team felt something was wrong. Is it Mr. Montgomery spending a fortune to win you back? I shook my head. No, he didn't have that much capability. It wasn't until I relied on my acting skills to directly win the Grand Slam Best Actress award that Sebastian finally showed himself. After the award ceremony, Sebastian came specifically to find me, the smile on his face unable to be hidden. Is fame and fortune what you wanted? I didn't answer him, planting a light kiss on his face. Then, what does Mr. Sterling want? Naturally, you. Then this isn't enough. Sebastian raised an eyebrow and hooked his lips, putting his hand in his suit pocket and speaking nonchalantly. Oh, then what else does Lana want? Teach me investment. I want to become capital. Okay. Honestly, I didn't expect Sebastian to agree so readily. His readiness actually made me uncertain. I stopped taking acting jobs and started studying at home, watching CFA courses, frantically brushing up on question banks. Heaven rewards the diligent. I successfully passed the level III exam. Hearing this news, Sebastian showed no surprise, just patted my head. Worthy of being my, Sebastian Sterling's, woman? I didn't expect the tycoon to be so good at self-convincing. I was very cautious at the start, starting with the film and television industry I was familiar with. Putting eggs in different baskets, I earned more and lost less. Sebastian taught me tirelessly, and I asked for advice without any pressure. After all, for every sum I earned, I would give Sebastian a share, sometimes giving him more than I kept for myself. Naturally, I knew he didn't lack it, and he did refuse, but he couldn't withstand my persistence. Not for anything else, just to let others in the capital circle see. Take me to play. If I lose, it's on me. If I earn, you get a share. After all, who knows when Sebastian might suddenly kick me aside. I have to leave myself a way out. However, he ultimately didn't give me this chance. Even after a few projects, Sebastian had started actively showing me projects within the industry. Later, the projects invested in made me a fortune in the industry. I started reaching into emerging industries, electric vehicles, AI. 2 years later, I gave a speech at the Cakeson Summit's Women Leadership Forum and specifically thanked Sebastian. I once thought Sebastian's Maslow's hierarchy of needs was higher than ordinary people's after all. He is a tycoon. But I didn't expect his needs over the past 2 years to never change, just to make me comfortable. He hugged me lying in bed and spoke gently. I have a private equity fund project being established. Consider it. I looked at him in shock. He had really been frantically feeding me opportunities these 2 years. He never gave me a chance to activate my backup plans. But the starting investment amount was too large. I hesitated a bit. I spent a lot of time conducting 3 rounds of due diligence on this fund. After confirming it was investable, I actively went to find Sebastian. I thought if this succeeds, I really won't have to work ever again. Seeing me find him but not speak, Sebastian thought I was anxious about money. You know, make me official, and the money is all yours. I shook my head and smiled bitterly. That's not necessary, just have a small favor I need your help with. Ethan and I hadn't divorced yet, but I had earned quite a lot in these 2 years of joint property. If we divided it, I wouldn't get any advantage. In the 2 years since saying goodbye to Ethan, I faded out of the entertainment circle, but he still actively sought me out a few times. At first, it was to reconcile and beg for forgiveness. Then it was suppression, squeezing my resources, spreading rumors about me, attempting to make me submit through this method. But fortunately, I didn't need to join film crews back to back anymore. I remembered the 5-minute video from the lounge hadn't been used yet. It was time to make Ethan bleed. With one hand, I filed for divorce due to 2 years of separation, and with the other, I asked Sebastian to help me find someone to negotiate with him for money. Help me find an entertainment reporter to tell him, you don't want everyone to know about your 5 minutes, right? After all, if you find someone, he definitely won't trace it back to me. Hearing me say this, Sebastian wrapped his arm around my waist and pulled me close. What? With me here, you're still afraid of him? Not afraid, just avoiding unnecessary trouble. Besides, how do I know when you won't kick me aside just like him? I've been your underground mistress for 2.5 years. Who exactly doesn't want whom? Is my service awareness not good enough? I nodded. Regarding service awareness, I indeed acknowledged it. That night, Sebastian got drunk, and only then did I finally know where I had seen him. Lana, do you remember that KTV? I was sitting in the corner, but you didn't look at me once. I watched you being groped, escaping, running to Ethan. I've always been thinking, if I had saved you first back then, would we have been together long ago? All these years, I've always been thinking of you. I pulled the covers over Sebastian, rolling my eyes speechlessly. I didn't expect the tycoon I plotted to hook was a pure-hearted virgin. I really was too much. Chapter 14 continued. Ethan and I finally divorced. I threw all the money into that fund. Although I did 3 rounds of due diligence, investment could still result in total loss. I had prepared for the worst at most. I'd go back to the entertainment industry and work for another few decades. Anyway, I had a way out. But this fund made me a fortune. In the 5th year, I sold half directly, achieving financial freedom. After achieving financial freedom, I started flying all over the world. But every time I ordered a male model with broad shoulders and a narrow waist, I was caught red-handed by Sebastian. If I knew you made money just to play like this, a ghost would have helped you. Don't be mad, handsome. Buy you a Lamborghini to play with. Sebastian grabbed my waist, took the wine glass from my hand, and kissed my lips. Look, clearly I am Sebastian Sterling. Do I lack a broken car from you? Let's go home. This cat and mouse game played out I don't know how many times. Once in a dream, I seemed to hear Sebastian on the phone. Chloe, the money has been sent to you. Do not contact this number ever again, or you know the consequences. Story 3. Nanny Jenkins stood by the bed, a smile plastered on her face, her wrinkles bunching up together. Miss Taylor, Mr. Jones specifically ordered this. Warm milk before bed to help you sleep. Help me sleep? My stomach churned. In my past life, it was this very cup of spiked milk that made me sleep like the dead the night before my engagement party. When I woke up, I had been stripped naked and thrown into a hotel suite by Ethan. Reporters rushed in, flashbulbs blinding me. The Jones family, acting righteous for the sake of the group's reputation, forced Ethan to take responsibility and marry a shameless woman like me. From then on, I became the laughing stock of the city, a punching bag for Ethan's rage, and a mobile blood bank and spare organ reservoir for his true love, Lily Lane. In the end, I died on the operating table because Lily needed a healthy kidney, and mine just happened to be a match. Leave it there. I'll drink it when it cools down, I said, my voice calm. Nanny Jenkins' eyes flickered. Mr. Jones said he wouldn't rest easy until he saw you drink it all. The corners of my mouth twitched. Rest easy. He was afraid I wouldn't drink it and their plan would fail. Fine. I took the cup, the warmth seeping through the porcelain. Under Nanny Jenkins' intense gaze, I tilted my head back. My throat moved. Most of the milk slid down into my stomach. Done. I handed the mostly empty cup back. Nanny Jenkins visibly relaxed, her smile blooming. Oh, good, good. You rest well now, Miss Taylor. The door closed. I immediately rushed into the bathroom. I jammed my fingers deep into my throat. The milk I had just swallowed, mixed with stomach acid, spewed into the toilet. I vomited until only bile came out. I turned on the faucet and splashed cold water on my face. The face in the mirror was pale, young, and carried the fragility of someone who had been kept in a cage for too long. But deep in my eyes was a chill tempered by death. Vivian Taylor. My name is Vivian Taylor. In my last life, I lived like a joke. In this life, I pulled a cold smile at the mirror. Ethan Jones, Lily Lane, the Jones family, and everyone who treated me as a stepping stone, a plaything, a consumable. Get ready. I'm going on a rampage. My phone screen lit up with an eerie glow, an anonymous encrypted chat box. The profile picture opposite was pitch black, the ID a single letter. K. I typed furiously, is everything ready? K, in position, HD, uncensored, time-stamped. Original files backed up in 3 encrypted cloud locations. Me, engagement party tomorrow. Same time, same place. K, received, the balance. Me, double within 24 hours after it's done. K, pleasure doing business. Miss Vivian, you are more ruthless than I imagined. I turned off the screen. Ruthless? Compared to what they did to me, this is barely scratching the surface. The engagement party was held in the grand ballroom of the Jones family's most luxurious hotel. The crystal chandeliers were blinding. The air smelled of champagne, expensive perfume, and hypocrisy. I wore the gown the Jones family had meticulously prepared. A white strapless design, lace and rhinestones, gorgeous like a doll in a shop window. Ethan held my arm, playing the devoted fiancé in front of the crowd. His profile was cold and hard, his thin lips pressed tight. He looked at me like I was an eyesore. "Smile," he ordered in a low voice, his hand gripping my arm with force. I obediently lifted the corners of my mouth. My gaze swept over the crowd. I saw her, Lily Lane. She was wearing a pale pink bridesmaid dress, standing in the corner looking fragile and boneless. Her eyes were like hooks glued to Ethan, pitiful and endearing. In my past life, it was this appearance that fooled everyone, including the stupid me. The MC was on stage spouting the same old cliches. Mr. Ethan Jones and Miss Vivian Taylor, a match made in heaven? Applause rang out hypocritically from below. Ethan led me to the center of the stage. The spotlight hit us, scorching hot. The MC handed the microphone to Ethan. "Mr. Jones, is there anything you'd like to say to your beautiful fiancé?" Ethan took the mic and looked at me. There was not a shred of warmth in his eyes, only cold calculation and a trace of imperceptible disgust. "Vivian," he began, his voice amplified through the speakers across the venue. Just then, snap the massive LED screen in the banquet hall, which had been looping fake, loving photos of Ethan and me, suddenly went black. A commotion stirred in the crowd. Ethan frowned and looked toward the control console. The next second, the screen abruptly lit up not photos, video, HD uncensored. The camera shook, clearly a hidden spy cam angle. The location was Ethan's private lounge on the top floor. The stars, Ethan Jones, Lily Lane. Timestamp, last night 23:47. Exactly the time I was knocked out by the sleep aid milk. In the video, Ethan's breathing was heavy, Lily's moans were seductive. Clothes were scattered all over the floor. The explicit sounds blasted through the top-tier sound system in 360-degree surround sound, echoing through the magnificent banquet hall. It was so clear you could see the sweat dripping. Silence, absolute silence. The banquet hall, which had just been flowing with hypocritical symphonies, was instantly muted. You could hear a pin drop. Hundreds of eyes turned stiffly from the screen to the center of the stage, focused on Ethan and me. Ethan's face went from shock to iron green, then to a deathly gray. The hand holding the microphone turned white at the knuckles, cracking audibly. Lily, standing in the corner off stage, lost all color in her face instantly, turning pale as a sheet. She swayed, barely able to stand, her eyes terrified like a rabbit that had been skinned alive. I stood beside Ethan. I could clearly feel his body stiffen instantly, and that overwhelming, almost tangible rage. He jerked his head around, his bloodshot eyes staring dead at me, looking like he wanted to swallow me whole. "You did this." The voice squeezed out through his teeth, tasting of blood. I looked at him. There was no expression on my face. No breakdown, no screaming, no hysteria as he had anticipated, only a cold calm. Then, under the gaze of hundreds of pairs of eyes, in the murderous glare of Ethan Jones, I slowly raised my hand, not to cover my face and weep, not to point at the adulterous couple, but facing the giant LED screen to the side of the stage, which was currently playing the X-rated action movie. I made a gesture that was incredibly clear and straightforward. THUMBS, slowly, DOWN, forcefully, I jabbed it downward twice. I don't know who couldn't hold it in first. The deathly silence was broken, immediately followed by Fdihahata, Biwahahaha, holy SHT that's badass. Roars of laughter, whistles, and cries of disbelief exploded in the banquet hall like a bomb. The flashbulbs flickered madly. 10 times more intense than before. Reporters squeezed forward like sharks smelling blood, their microphones practically shoving into Ethan and Lily's faces. Ethan's face was completely twisted. He abruptly raised his hand, cutting through the wind. He aimed a vicious slap at my face. I stood still. I didn't even blink. Just as that hand was centimeters from my face, a hand with well-defined knuckles, wearing a black tactical half glove, appeared out of thin air like an iron clamp. Precisely. Firmly, it caught Ethan's wrist, immovable. Ethan turned his head in fury. Who? A man in a well-tailored black suit was standing half a step beside me, though I hadn't noticed when he arrived. His posture was upright, like an unsheathed blade. There was no expression on his face, his eyes as cold as the Siberian tundra. It was Shane Stone, the security consultant sent by KK's add-on service. Mr. Jones, Shane spoke, his voice not loud, but strangely cutting through the chaos of the room, clearly reaching everyone's ears. It is inappropriate to strike a lady in public. He applied a slight pressure with his fingers. Ethan's face went pale, veins popping on his forehead, a sickening crack coming from his wrist. Let go, do you know who the FCK I am? Ethan roared, trying to break free, but found the other's hand was like welded steel. I know, Shane said flatly. The male lead of a homemade amateur porno playing at his own engagement party. Piwahahaha, another burst of laughter from the audience. Ethan's face turned the color of pig liver. He was shaking with rage. Ethan, Lily screamed and rushed up, tearfully trying to pull Shane's hand away. Let him go, you're hurting him. Shane didn't even lift his eyelids. He flicked his wrist, not much force, but Lily looked like she was pushed by some invisible power. She stumbled back several steps in her high heels, cried ouch, and fell pathetically onto the floor. Her carefully styled hair came undone, and her pink dress got smudged. She looked even more like a little white flower ravaged by a storm. The flashbulbs went crazy on her again. Ethan's eyes looked like they were about to split open, struggling even harder. Shane finally let go. Caught off guard, Ethan used too much force and stumbled backward, nearly falling over, losing even more face. He grabbed the champagne tower stand to steady himself, panting heavily, looking like a trapped beast that had been thoroughly provoked. He stared dead at me, eyes filled with enough hate to tear me to pieces. Vivian Taylor, you BTCH, how dare you? How dare I what? I cut him off. My voice wasn't loud. But through the microphone Ethan was still death-gripping. It broadcast clearly. The whole room went quiet again. Everyone looked at me. I took a step forward, standing at the very front of the stage, in the center of the spotlight, looking down at the chaos below, at the pale-faced Lily, at the furious Ethan. How dare I share your documentary of deep passion for everyone to appreciate and learn from, while you, the great Mr. Jones and Miss Lane, were working so hard at your labor of love. I tilted my head, my face even showing a hint of appropriately timed confusion. Isn't this what you wanted? To be the center of attention? Ha ha ha, learn from it, goddamn, learn from it. Miss Taylor is a savage. The laughter below grew louder, mixed with cheers. Ethan was shaking with rage, the finger pointing at me trembling. You framed me, that video is fake, you photoshopped it. Is it? I raised an eyebrow, my tone innocent. The timestamp is 23:47 last night. At that time, I paused, my gaze sweeping over the pale Nanny Jenkins, who was hiding behind the crowd, trying to slip away. Nanny Jenkins, I raised my voice. Nanny Jenkins stiffened, nailed to the spot. Everyone's eyes swiveled to her. At 23:40 last night, the cup of sleep aid milk you brought me, I threw it up. My tone was as flat as if commenting on the nice weather. Threw it all up, so I was awake. I looked at Ethan and smiled slightly. Not only was I awake, but I was also curious what my fiancé was busy doing in the next room with his good little sister in the middle of the night. So I went to take a look. By the way, I pointed at the big screen, I recorded it for you. No need to thank me. Sharing is a virtue. Boom, the crowd exploded. Holy SHT drugged milk. The Jones family plays that dirty. No wonder Miss Taylor fought back, that is disgusting. Scum, looks of disdain, spitting, and shock shot toward Ethan and Lily like countless knives. Ethan's face was beyond ugly now. It was a hideous mask of near insanity. He snapped his head toward Nanny Jenkins, his eyes fierce enough to eat her alive. Nanny Jenkins was scared out of her wits and screamed. It wasn't me, it was the young master. The young master made me drug her. Miss Lane gave me the drugs. Shut up, Lily screamed and cried, crawling up from the floor to tackle Nanny Jenkins and stop her talking, but was kindly blocked by a few socialites who loved drama. Miss Lane, don't get excited, let her finish. Yeah, drugging someone, that's thrilling. The scene was completely out of control. Ethan's father, Howard Jones, chairman of the Jones Group, stormed onto the stage with an iron green face and several bodyguards, trying to control the situation. Turn off the screen immediately, security, get the reporters out of here, he roared. Too bad. It was too late. What should be recorded, what should be filmed, had long flown to every corner of the city via the internet. The trending topics had already blown up. Ethan, Lily engagement, livestream, rich family drug scandal, Vivian, thumbs down. I stood in the center of the chaos. Watching the Jones family fuming with rage, watching Ethan wanting to tear me apart, but being invisibly blocked by Shane, watching Lily crying with her makeup running while surrounded by reporters. My heart was a cold pool of calm. Did it feel good? A little, but it wasn't nearly enough. This was just the appetizer. The engagement party became the scandal of the century. The Jones family used all their power to suppress the trending topics, delete posts, and warn the media. But the internet has a memory. Keywords like drugging, spycam, cheating, and gesture kill spread like a virus. My name, Vivian Taylor, appeared in the public eye for the first time in such a tough, rebellious stance. No longer the parasitic flower clinging to the Jones family, no longer the punching bag who swallowed insults, but a ruthless person pushed to the brink, who backhanded the scumbag and the mistress onto the pillar of shame. Ethan was locked at home by Howard, reportedly smashing up half his study. Lily Lane was completely sick, hiding at home, afraid to see anyone. The Jones family sent someone to find me. A lawyer, Mr. Brooks, carrying a thick agreement. Miss Taylor, the Jones family deeply regrets the farce at the engagement party. Mr. Brooks pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses, his tone condescendingly charitable. Mr. Jones is willing to offer you a considerable compensation. The condition is that you sign this non-disclosure agreement and publicly clarify that the video was forged, and that you planned all this out of love turning to hate because you couldn't have Mr. Jones. I looked at the agreement. The compensation amount was indeed considerable, enough for an ordinary person to squander for several lifetimes. In my past life, I might have been dazzled by this number or scared by the Jones family's power. Now, I picked up the agreement. A scornful look of I knew it appeared on the lawyer's face. The next second, I slowly tore the agreement in half down the middle, tore it again, 4 pieces, 8 pieces, until it became a pile of waste paper that couldn't be pieced together. I raised my hand. The snow-white paper scraps fluttered down, covering the lawyer's head and face. Tell Ethan, I said flatly, his money is dirty. I find it disgusting. The lawyer patted the paper scraps off his body in embarrassment, his face ugly. Miss Taylor, don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. You cannot afford the consequences of offending the Jones family. Oh, I leaned forward slightly, getting close to him, my voice lowered but carrying a bone-chilling coldness. Then go back and ask Ethan. Ask his mother, who is lying in a nursing home kept alive by machines. Ask about those shady holes in the Jones Group's accounts. Ask if the Jones family can afford the consequences of me going scorched earth. The lawyer's pupils shrank violently, and the blood drained from his face instantly. He looked me up and down with uncertainty and fear, as if really knowing me for the first time. You, how do you know? Scram. I straightened up and spat out a cold word. The lawyer scrambled away in terror. The room went quiet. I walked to the window. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Kay. Jones Group started scrubbing their internal network, trying to find the source of the video. Traces have been wiped clean. They won't find anything. I replied, good. Step 2 can begin. Kay understood. Target, the West City plot. The West City plot was the core of the Jones Group's 5-year plan, with more than half of their liquid capital tied up in it. It was also the first mega project Ethan was responsible for. He was eager to prove himself and had bet heavily. Unfortunately, he didn't know that I held evidence of him and a key approval official gambling heavily in overseas casinos and accepting huge consulting fees. Nor did he know that the so-called feng shui master he hired at a high price was someone I arranged through Kay with one sentence from the master. This land has evil spirits, needs a heavy treasure to suppress it. Ethan believed it implicitly and embezzled funds meant for main material suppliers to buy a sky-high priced antique jade pixie. The capital chain was already stretched to the limit. It just needed one last straw. A few days later, the financial headlines exploded. Shocking Jones Group's West City King project abruptly halted suspected regulatory violations, exclusive. Jones Group facing capital chain rupture. Multiple suppliers cut supplies, en masse. Jones Group stock plummets at opening. Billions in market value evaporated. The Jones Group was shrouded in gloom. Howard Jones's hair turned white overnight as he called an emergency board meeting. The spearhead pointed directly at Ethan, who was in charge of the project. Ethan was stripped of his leadership over the project and was cursed out at the board meeting. Like a violent lion, he smashed up his office again. Then, he rushed to my apartment like a madman. He kicked the door, making loud banging sounds. "Vivian, open the door. I know you're in there. BTCH, get out here." I opened the door slowly. His eyes were bloodshot, his hair messy, his expensive suit wrinkled, and he radiated hostility. "It was you, wasn't it? That land, the approval, the suppliers, you did all of it." He rushed in, pointing at my nose and roaring. Shane Stone appeared silently by my side, staring at him with cold eyes. Ethan glanced at Shane with apprehension, not daring to make a move, but his anger burned hotter. "Vivian, you think you won? You ruined me, ruined the Jones family. You won't have a good life. Either I will ruin your reputation, I will kill you." I calmly watched his hysteria. "Ethan," I spoke faintly when he was tired of yelling. "You got one thing wrong. I never wanted to win against you. I took a step forward, looking straight into his bloodshot eyes, articulating every word, "wanted to wreck you. Take the things you care about most, the things you are most proud of, the things you got by stepping on my flesh and blood, piece by piece, crush them in front of you. Let you taste what it's like to fall from the clouds into the mud." Ethan was awed by the coldness and hatred in my eyes and actually took a step back. "Lunatic, you are a lunatic." His voice carried a trace of imperceptible trembling. "Compared to what you people did to me," I pulled a corner of my mouth, "I still have a long way to go. Get out." I lost interest in wasting words with him. Ethan wanted to clamor more. Shane took a step forward. The pressure was like a mountain. Ethan's Adam's apple bobbed. Finally, under Shane's emotionless gaze, he dropped a weak threat. "You just wait," and fled, slamming the door. The Jones family was in desperate straits. Ethan was like a mad dog, biting everywhere, but he couldn't find concrete evidence that I was manipulating things behind the scenes. Lily Lane's life wasn't easy either. The dream of being the young mistress of the Jones family was completely shattered, and she was burdened with the names mistress and scheming woman. She didn't dare go out. The abuse on the internet brought her to the verge of a mental breakdown. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. On a rainy evening, she appeared downstairs at my apartment like a ghost. Haggard, pale, eyes red and swollen. "Vivian," she saw me, tears flowing before she spoke, so fragile it seemed a breeze could knock her over. "Can we talk, please?" I held an umbrella, standing on the steps, looking down at her. "Talk about what? I know I was wrong." She cried like a pear blossom bathed in rain. "I really didn't know Big E would treat you like that. I love him, I couldn't control myself. But I never wanted to hurt you. Those things. Nanny Jenkins did those things. Ethan forced me. Familiar recipe, familiar taste. Shifting blame, playing innocent. In my past life, it was this rhetoric that softened my heart time and again, finally pushing me into hell. Oh, I remained expressionless. Seeing me unmoved, Lily bit her lip and knelt on the wet, cold ground. With a thud, the rain instantly soaked the hem of her dress. "Vivian, I'm kneeling to you, please. Let Ethan go, let the Jones family go. Everything is my fault if you want revenge. Take it out on me, please. Stop targeting them. The Jones Group is Ethan's lifeblood. If this goes on, he will really collapse." She cried with genuine emotion, screaming herself hoarse. Passers-by looked sideways, pointing and whispering. What a scene of vicious ex-wife bullying the fragile little white flower. Too bad, I didn't even move an eyebrow. "Lily Lane," my voice was calm, piercing through the sound of rain. "In my past life, you knelt by my hospital bed and cried just like this." Lily's crying stopped abruptly. She looked up sharply, her wet eyes full of shock and confusion. What? You said, "Vivian, I'm sorry, I really need that kidney or I'll die. Ethan said your kidney matches mine the best. Since living is painful for you anyway, you might as well help me. I will be grateful to you for the rest of my life." I mimicked her hypocritical and cruel tone from my past life. Lily's face instantly turned as pale as paper, her lips trembling, looking at me as if she had seen a ghost. "You, what nonsense are you talking? What kidney?" I don't understand. It doesn't matter if you don't understand. I looked down at her, my eyes cold as knives. You just need to remember your tears, your kneeling, your begging, to me, are worthless. Even, I pulled a cold arc, a bit disgusting. Scram. I turned around, not looking at her again. Behind me came Lily's broken scream. Vivian Taylor, you devil, you won't die a natural death, devil. I walked into the apartment building. Compared to you all, I count as kind. The Jones family's decline was irreversible. The stock price hit the limit down every day. Banks called in loans, suppliers sued, projects stopped, and employees were in a panic. Howard Jones was physically and mentally exhausted and was hospitalized. Ethan was pushed to a dead end. He made a crazy decision: kidnapping. He found a group of desperados. The target was me. He wanted to catch me, force me to hand over the fatal leverage on him, force me to admit that everything was my framing, and even wanted to make me disappear directly. He thought he was being secretive. Unfortunately, his every move was under Kay's surveillance. The account he used to pay the kidnappers, the location where the kidnappers were hiding, even their planned route, crystal clear. On the way, the kidnappers' car drove toward the cafe I frequented. Several unmarked black SUVs rushed out from the side road like ghosts, precisely, blocking the kidnappers' car. The doors opened. It wasn't the police who got out. It was security personnel in plain clothes, moving with extreme efficiency and ruthlessness. Leading them was Shane Stone. The kidnappers didn't even have time to pull out their weapons. Their arms were dislocated cleanly, and they were pinned to the ground. The whole process took less than 30 seconds. Clean, efficient, silent. Like it never happened. Shane walked up to the pinned-down leader of the kidnappers, squatted, his voice dripping with ice. Go back and tell Ethan Jones. Touch her again, and it won't just be hands that get broken. The kidnapper leader was sweating profusely from pain, looking at Shane in terror, nodding desperately. Late that night, Ethan was waiting for news in one of his secret apartments. What he got was several kidnappers thrown at his door like broken sacks, their limbs twisted at weird angles. And that cold warning left by Shane. Ethan looked at his subordinates wailing on the ground and heard that icy warning. A chill rushed from the soles of his feet straight to the top of his head. For the first time, he felt true fear. He realized that the person standing behind Vivian had means and power far more terrifying than he imagined. He had kicked an iron plate that could grind him into powder. He went completely mad, not angry mad, desperate mad. He smashed everything in the apartment that could be smashed. Then, with red eyes, he dialed a number, calling a paparazzi studio that specialized in digging up celebrity privacy using dirty methods. Hello? Huge scoop about Vivian Taylor. It will absolutely ruin her reputation. I want you to publish it now all over the internet. I'll pay whatever it takes. He bet his last bit of savings. He wanted to take me down with him. In his hand, he held what he thought was a winning card, a few blurry photos of me working at a bar during college, being pulled and harassed by customers, and a forged sugar baby agreement signed with my old handwriting. I want everyone to know that Vivian is a cheap slut who sells herself a piece of trash, who will do anything for money. She framed me just to blackmail the Jones family. Ethan screamed hysterically into the phone. The paparazzi studio moved fast. Deep in the night, sensational, expose, articles with explosive titles and those blurry, tricky angle photos were splashed onto the internet like sewage. Shocking reversal, deep dive into the true face of goddess of revenge, Vivian Taylor. Bar hostess, kept by sugar daddy. Exclusive. Vivian Taylor's college sugar baby agreement exposed. Was Ethan Jones the victim? Insider reveal. Vivian blackmailed Jones family for sky-high breakup fee and failed. Orchestrated engagement scandal. Internet trolls entered the fray, frantically driving the narrative. I knew it. There's no such thing as a perfect victim. Turns out she's dirty too. Bar hostess turning into a socialite. Joke of the year. Feel sorry for Ethan. Bad luck for 8 lifetimes to get tangled with this manipulative BTCH. Solid evidence. Vivian, get out and apologize. The reputation that had just reversed was instantly mudded again. Supporters and abusers fought in a chaotic mess online. Ethan watched the vicious comments, seeing my name linked with hostess and sugar baby, and finally revealed his first twisted smile in days. Vivian, Let's see how you turn this around in my apartment. The light from the computer screen reflected on my face. Kay's message popped up, sewage thrown, source locked, evidence chain complete. Counterattack, I replied calmly, let's begin. 10 minutes later. A new social media account, registered less than an hour ago with 0 followers, posted a long article. No title, no sensationalism, just a cold list of facts. Photo timestamps, locations, background explanations. Date X bar X. At that time, my father was hospitalized with a serious illness and urgently needed surgery fees. I worked as a legitimate server at said bar. The customer pulling me in the photo name, ID blurred, but verifiable, was expelled by bar security for drunkenly harassing a waitress and had a record at the local police station attached screenshot of police report, key info blurred. Regarding the sugar baby agreement, 3 months before the agreement signing date forged time, my father had already passed away, attached key page of death certificate, blurred. During that period, I suspended my schooling due to handling my father's funeral and severe depression, attached hospital diagnosis and suspension certificate, blurred. Handwriting analysis on the agreement signature, attached report from a domestic authoritative judicial appraisal agency, proving it did not match my handwriting. Transfer records from Ethan Jones to the paparazzi studio, amount, time, account tail number clear. Call recording between Ethan and the paparazzi studio head, key parts edited, voice processed, but content clearly distinguishable. Write it to death, just say she sells herself. Agreement. Find someone to fake her handwriting and make one. Money is not a problem, I want her dead. Lawyer's statement. Formal lawsuit filed against Ethan Jones and the paparazzi studio for malicious slander, forging evidence, etc. Attached scan of court acceptance notice. This post was like a depth charge, instantly blowing over the entire internet. Vivian counterattack. Exploded Ethan forged evidence slander, exploded paparazzi studio page rumors, exploded the trolls and uninformed netizens who were cursing me wildly just moments ago, instantly went silent. Oh my God, this reversal, Ethan is too poisonous. So those photos were like that she went to work to earn money for her sick father, got harassed, and still got dirty water thrown on her. Forging a sugar baby agreement when her father had already passed away. Ethan, are you even human? Recording confirmed ironclad evidence. Ethan, go to hell. Paparazzi studio taking money to do dirty work. No bottom line support. Vivian suing them to the end. Crying. Vivian has it so hard that dog couple Ethan and Lily won't die a natural death. Public opinion reversed completely. Monstrous anger and sympathy all surged toward Ethan and that paparazzi studio. Ethan watched the overwhelming abuse online and the comments ing him to die, watched his phone ringing constantly with questioning calls from the board of directors and notices of lawyers' letters. His last mental pillar collapsed. He abruptly grabbed the fruit knife on the table, not to commit suicide, but completely insanely, he rushed toward the hospital. He was going to kill the source that harmed him to this state, me, and that father lying in the hospital bed who made him feel incredibly ashamed, Howard Jones. Die all die together, he rushed into the VIP inpatient building with red eyes like an evil ghost crawling out of hell. Hospital, luxury ward. Howard Jones had just finished emergency treatment, wearing an oxygen mask, lying weakly. I stood by the window, watching the patients walking in the garden downstairs. Phone vibrated. Kay, he's here, carrying a knife. Target, you and Howard, security in position. Me, proceed as planned. Footsteps sounded in the empty corridor. Rapid, heavy, carrying madness. The ward door was kicked open. Ethan, with messy hair, red eyes, tightly gripping that glistening fruit knife, looked like a beast ready to devour someone. He saw me by the window at a glance. Vivian BTCH, let's die together, he roared, rushing over regardless of everything very fast, with the resolve of mutual destruction. I stood still, didn't even turn my head. Just as he was only a few steps away from me, the knife tip about to stab my back. Thud, a muffled sound, not a gunshot, the sound of a powerful tranquilizer dart hitting muscle. Ethan's forward rushing body stiffened abruptly. The madness in his eyes was replaced by shock. He looked down at a small red dot on the clothes on his chest. Then, massive dizziness hit him like a landslide. The fruit knife fell to the ground with a clang. He swayed, like a log being chopped down, straight, face down, smashed heavily onto the cold, smooth floor. Passed out cold. Several people wearing hospital cleaning uniforms appeared quickly, lifted him up, and dragged him out silently and efficiently like handling a bag of medical waste. The knife on the ground was also picked up. All traces were quickly cleaned, as if nothing had happened. Only Howard Jones on the bed, wearing an oxygen mask, witnessed all this. His cloudy old eyes stared wide, full of terror and disbelief. Raspy sounds came from his throat. The heart rate curve on the monitor fluctuated violently. Only then did I slowly turn around, walk to his bedside, looking down at him. This ruler of the Jones family who once treated me as a chess piece, a tool, something to be sacrificed at will. At this moment, he was as fragile as a candle in the wind. Did you see that? My voice was very light, devoid of emotion. This is the air you painstakingly cultivated. The Jones family is finished. You are almost there too. Howard panted violently, the oxygen mask fogging up. He wanted to speak but could only make hissing noises. In his eyes, there was immense fear, regret, and a trace of pleading. I leaned down, close to his ear. In a voice only he could hear, I said coldly, "Don't rush, suffer slowly. I will let you live to see the Jones family, bit by bit, rot completely. Just like how you all watched me rot bit by bit back then." Howard's eyes bulged violently, and the heart monitor let out a piercing alarm. Doctors and nurses rushed in. I straightened up, stepped aside, watching them resuscitate him indifferently. Howard was eventually saved, but he had a stroke. Half his body paralyzed, unable to speak, only able to make meaningless ah-ah sounds, eyes glazed. He completely became an invalid. The Jones Group declared bankruptcy. Assets were seized and auctioned. Ethan woke up from his coma to find himself lying on a cold, hard bed in a detention center. He was suspected of hiring kidnappers, attempted murder, massive commercial fraud, bribery, slander, multiple crimes punished together. Waiting for him was a long prison life, Lily Lane. After the Jones family went bankrupt and Ethan was imprisoned, she quickly swept away Ethan's last bit of private savings and vanished without a trace. Rumor has it someone saw a hostess who looked very much like her in a nightclub in a third-tier city. Numb eyes, heavy makeup, no longer that touching little white flower. Dust settled. I stood in front of the French window. Outside, the sun was shining brightly. On my phone was a balance change notification from the bank. The Jones family fell. Those prime assets that once belonged to the Jones family were acquired at low prices by mysterious capital during bankruptcy liquidation. And behind the capital controlling all this, the biggest beneficiary was me. Kay sent the last message, wrap-up complete. Cooperation ended. Balance cleared. Don't miss me. That mysterious avatar went dark forever. Shane Stone also left. As if he never appeared, I changed my phone number. Sold that apartment filled with bad luck. Used that huge sum of funds to establish a public welfare foundation. The name was simple, Firefly. Specializing in helping women who suffered injustice and fell into desperation, providing legal, medical, psychological aid, and emergency shelter. Money poured in. The effect was immediate. The first woman rescued from the clutches of a domestic violence husband by the foundation hugged the lawyer and social worker we sent, crying her heart out. It made the news. Firefly Foundation rescues domestic violence victim Vivian Taylor, new career netizens, boiled over again. Holy SHT, Vivian, is it the Vivian who wrecked the scumbag? It really is her. She set up a foundation doing charity. Oh my God, from goddess of revenge to goddess of charity, what kind of power fantasy novel reality is this? From hater to fan, sister is too cool. Sister, look at me, does the foundation need people? I'll work for free. This is a true goddess, 10,000 times better than those fake socialites. Praise surged like a tide. I rarely showed my face. The daily operation of the foundation was handed over to a professional team. I only checked on the general direction where decisions were needed. Life seemed to return to calm. Until that day, I went to the suburban cemetery alone. My father's grave and Vivian's grave were next to each other. Very clean. I put down 2 bunches of pure white chrysanthemums. I stood in front of my father's grave for a long time. Father in the photo had a gentle smile. "Dad," I whispered, fingers brushing the cold tombstone. It's all over. Those who hurt us have received their retribution. The wind blew gently, leaves rustling, like a response. I walked to my own grave again, looking at the photo on the tombstone belonging to the past, carrying cowardice and confusion. It's over too, I said to her, Vivian. The Vivian who only knew how to cry, how to endure, allowing others to slaughter her, is dead. Died in the last life. The one living now, I paused, looking at my name on the tombstone, is the new Vivian Taylor. A stronger gust of wind blew past, rolling up the fallen leaves on the ground, spiraling up toward the sky, like some kind of farewell, and like some kind of rebirth. I turned around, left the cemetery. The sunlight fell on me without obstruction, warm. My phone vibrated once. It was a message from the foundation head. President Taylor, are you really not attending the launch ceremony of the Assistance Project next Monday in person? Many media outlets want to interview you. I looked down and typed. The reply was simple, not going. The people who need help are helped. The people who needed to be wrecked are dead. Do not disturb. Sent. I put away my phone, hands in my coat pockets. Slowly. Walked into that brilliant, somewhat blinding sunlight. Behind me, the tombstone stood quietly. The girl in the photo smiled meekly, while the figure walking under the sun was straight and unbending.